Mist.
Represented, I'm the hardest in it. Fuck the critics, ain't nobody hard as gritty. Black and brown come together, we ain't backing down. I've been in the Hardy City, got the bloodline of a king. Gotta come together, we all in the same game. One God, one universe, all unity, and ain't shit changed. Gotta mount up, but they dumb us down with that fake shit that they teach us now. We been living in the belly of the devil, battling so we can make it out. Fuck the politics and the president, fuck the White House till they let us in. We gon' go to war, we ain't hesitant. If they want to smoke, then I'm a hella shit. We the last living of a dying breed. Ain't nobody with the pen as hard as me. Every time I rap it hit an artery. Ain't nobody fucking with my artistry. We the holy guys, we invented time. We gon' send a missile like it's Lebanon. I been eating rappers like it's dinner time. Suckers hibernating like it's dinner time.
Best smoke on the West Coast. West Coast. You look for women on the West Coast. West Coast. We like to ride on the West Coast. Like a round ride on the West Coast. We got the best smoke on the West Coast. West Coast. You look for women on the West Coast. West Coast. We like to ride on the West Coast. Like a round ride on the West Coast. We got the best smoke on the West Coast. West Coast. You look for women on the West Coast. West Coast. We like to ride on the West Coast.
All aboard! It is time to hop aboard my spaceship, cause you are now tuned into what is the Matrix TV. I'm your extraterrestrial host from the intergalactic cosmos, from under the ocean, over the stars, through the Stargate. I am Dr. Jason E. Williams, better known as Jason Elm Street Williams. Ooh. And I have an amazing co-host for this evening and a special guest coming in as a retired military officer, Brother Durel Williams.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
Peace and love, brother. And as always, our co-host, Brother Jojo The Great.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all feeling?
Doing great. So let's get an introduction. Brother Durel Williams, retired Air Force officer. Brother, introduce yourself and welcome to What is the Matrix?
Well, first off, Dr. Williams, thank you for having me on this show. So I got to correct it for anyone who sees this and decides they want to put something in the comments. I'm a retired non-commissioned officer, not actual officer. That'll be the difference between like enlisted versus officer. So I retired as an E7, promotable to E8. But just because technicalities will show up later and say, you know, he was lying. But I'm retired master sergeant. So I'm pretty happy to be here with my friend since the 7th grade, back in Riverside, California, who is doing incredible things in education, and pretty much always had the foresight. Believe it or not, these topics that he's discussing with you all, he started talking to us about this in the 7th grade. A lot of us thought he was crazy back then, but come to find out, as time has gone forward, he did do something remarkable that not a lot of our friends or people we know that came from the area of Riverside, California have done, and that's achieved his education at the highest level and is giving back to our community with this very important subset of topics. So I really do appreciate you allowing me to be here today with you. So I spent 20 years, yes, sir. So I spent 20 years in the Air Force, and I left our city of Riverside right after 9/11. We all know where we were and can think about exactly what was going on in our lives during that time frame. A big change came to our society. We were already in the .com age, and just getting into all of the different internet experiences we would see coming out of 1999 into 2000, and then 2001 happened, 9/11 particularly. And I ended up signing up for the military and went to the Air Force shortly after 9/11 and spent 20 years there. And as currently an Air Force contractor, so 23 years total within the Department of Defense and Joint Services. And now I work in research science as well as social service and behavior coaching for youth and families. So just happy to be here, and thank you for this opportunity.
Oh man, love you, brother. And what made you choose the Air Force? And Jojo, feel free to ask any questions and hop in as well. But as we start the show, we have someone in the Air Force, and that's today's topic, y'all. UFOs in the sky. So what made you join the Air Force? You know, I went to Colorado State University, and the Air Force was in our conference. And so I know a lot of, basically they say the smartest people are in the Air Force, and the tests are very hard. But what called you to join the Air Force versus the Army and military? And I come from a military family, y'all, as well. All my grandfathers were military veterans, and my father's a Vietnam veteran. Rest in peace. So what made you join the Air Force?
Well, I don't know if you remember my brother King. So KD actually went to the Navy the year prior and was going into electrical aviation operations for submarines and aircraft carriers, and ended up getting stationed at the Pentagon for a quick tour doing ceremonial guards work. And he was at the Pentagon on 9/11 survivor. So it hit our family pretty hard. I ended up going and signing up for the Marines actually first. But when 9/11 happened, everyone wanted to serve. It was one of those time frames where black, white, Asian, Hispanic, it didn't matter. With no color lines. Coming from Southern California, for us, we grew up that way anyway. A lot of our friends look like every walk and every race. But the Marines couldn't get me a contract fast enough, but the Air Force was able to get me a contract pretty quickly, and so I took it before I could take the Marine contract. I ended up going in to do some tactics, law enforcement, so on and so forth, and I just wanted to get into the fight right away. funny thing is, to the topic we're going to talk about UFOs and whatnot today. I ended up getting stationed in Malmstrom, Montana, where all of the nuclear weapon sites are first before I could even get out to the war. So it was like, man, you guys lied to me, man. You're going to get me out there in combat and so on and so forth. I ended up getting sent to Malmstrom, Montana.
Whose background? Is that your background, someone, or is that JoJo's? I hear something smashing.
I was about to ask the same thing. That smacking?
Yeah, that'd be mine.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all good. Could you turn up the volume on the mic maybe a little or get closer?
Yeah, I'll try that. That's my apology. My apology for the microphone. Okay.
You got a deep voice too, so.
All right. How about now?
Can you hear him clearly, JoJo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Got it.
Everyone's good. So JoJo, do you have any questions as we start diving into the Air Force, military intelligence, and so JoJo, go ahead because I have questions already for Brother Williams.
No, I work as I was sharing with you guys earlier. I'm a government contractor. I'm a safety officer, and I work a lot with the Army Corps of Engineers. So oftentimes we're always going to be like on a military base or something like that. I don't know if you ever heard, Brother Williams, you ever heard of a Air Force base, Ebbings in Arkansas?
Let me add him. There you go.
What's the name of that base again?
Hold on, I couldn't hear him.
Say that again, Durel. You lost.
Muted.
What's the name of the base you asked about?
Jason, talk.
He asked what was the base.
I can't hear none of y'all.
Can you hear us? Oh, you're muted. Unmute. Oh, he's got to unmute. You got to unmute your button.
No, I can hear you.
Okay, so go ahead, Brother Durel. You would ask.
Yeah, what base are you asking about?
Oh, I said it was called Ebbing base over there in Arkansas. That was
might be a Guard and Reserve.
Go ahead.
Maybe both of you are right, but no, I was just saying, being around them a lot, I always get a chance to open up questions and stuff like that, or ask, hey, what's going on and things like that. But for now, no, I'm on Bay. Go ahead, Brother Williams.
Let's get it rolling. So when 9/11 hit, of course, we have the conspiracies and stuff, and that was a patriotism. How do you feel now? Before we even get really into the topic, and I brought up Pops, what do you feel like? All right, this came to my head. When my dad told me that he got drafted into the Vietnam War, he said it was the first time he ever cried in his life. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, come on, Dad. And he was like, back then it was considered an honor to serve your military, but he was scared. So he went behind the house and he said he had cried, and he heard his dad coming, my granddaddy, and he had to straighten up. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, he said, man, it would have been trouble if your granddaddy saw me crying. And so he said it was just an honor back then. What do you feel the frequency and tone is now compared to our parents, and even you going involuntarily versus the draft? And then do you think they ever will initiate the draft again?
That's a really good question, Jason, because when I went in, it was, like I said before, have you ever seen the movie with Will Smith on the 4th of July when the aliens invade? What is that called?
Yes, Independence Day.
Independence Day. So I feel like the only way that we come together is when somebody's attacking us, right? That's the only time that we're going to come together. So that's how I felt during 9/11. During 9/11, I felt like, hey, this is, before I knew what I know now, I felt like we're being attacked. I want to defend my homeland. I want to be a part of something where all Americans are coming together and standing up for what's taking place on our soil. When you go through service and you have that kind of a reason to serve, it's a lot different than what we see currently happening today. I can say if the draft was initiated right now, maybe many people wouldn't feel the same. They wouldn't feel so compelled because we're only being told a fraction of what's actually going on. So it's not something that may resonate with young men and women like it resonated with us during 9/11. I don't think I would feel the same way, feel obligated or compelled to go serve, not knowing like what's going on with Ukraine or what's going on, the truth about the Iran pursuit, so on and so forth. But back then, it was a strong conviction, and I was very much compelled to serve because of what happened to America at whole.
Wow. So what do you feel about that, JoJo? With the frequency now compared to our parents and grandparents, but he's busy right now. So
I was gonna say, definitely our grandparents, especially like my grandparents. He was a Vietnam. He was really, really well known. And on my Filipino side, we had a couple war heroes too. But with social media and stuff like that going on, the young folks especially been exposed to so many dark truths that was probably covert for a reason, to where now there is no independence. It seems like everyone's fending for themselves. So the draft right now to young people sounds like you're just trying to kill me. Like, you don't have a united nation. You don't have a United States. Actually, we're more divided, and the young people do not want to fight for America because they don't agree with a lot of its internal policies, and especially the covert things that have been exposed to the public. I mean, since 9/11, I don't think that there's been America that's been closer, like how he was saying. Everyone has their different perspectives, but for sure now the young people, I can't see that they would feel any notion to want to be in it voluntarily like Brother Williams was.
Interesting. So what do you guys feel right now with the Pentagon releasing officially the UFO files online? We'll go into it. I have the website up. I was looking at it throughout the week. But Durel, what has been your knowledge as we start getting to, as I say, people call it the revelation. Now they're saying full disclosure. What has been your knowledge that you're able to share with us, being in the Air Force? You guys deal with the air.
I'm actually interested to hear you all's perspective first, because there's some things that I'm beholden to non-disclosure wise for the rest of my career, and there are some things that I want to share that I can talk about. So I want to hear your perspective first, and then I'll tie mine in. Okay, JoJo, did you want to say anything as we started?
Yeah, hold on. One sec. Yeah, first things first, who the ever gave someone any God-given right to be able to own the air? I just found out that United States own airspace. That's crazy, but that's opinion. Secondary, yeah, I think when it comes to Air Force, or at least everything that's going on with aliens and stuff like that, I think that that's been going on for many, 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 many years. I think that it's just came to that time where resources of extraterrestrial are running thin. And I feel that the earth is very, very abundant in gold. And you can't really find gold everywhere, but at the same time, that's used for a lot of our technology, even our flat screens. When you go into the chips and to our phones, when you take them apart, gold is very, very sought after. So I feel like with the just natural timing that you're working against, it has opened up the conversation to where the government has to at least give you more information about UFOs and stuff like that. Because truth be told, no one cares about UFOs until they drop a movie like E.T. It's too advanced. Their minds don't know how to compartmentalize the agenda going on with man versus woman. So the conversation of the Air Force or any intelligence agency giving you information about UFOs, extraterrestrials, and things like that, there's been many psyops to prove that that'd just be too much for us. It would break.
Yeah, I
Go
really
ahead.
like that perspective, Jojo. I really like that perspective. I will tell you, I've flown to more than 110 countries, all 50 states and territories. I've spent probably, I could say, thousands upon thousands of hours in the air on 7 different airframes. I've never seen anything to tell me that there's a reason to put this information out for a large consumption beyond control mechanisms and misinformation and disinformation because we titled it UAP for a reason. It's unidentified. It's unsubstantiated. So the point is, whatever's seen in the sky, we don't know what is seen in the sky. And for us to take a certain amount of information and release it as a government agency and say that we can quantify these things, or we can stamp our U.S. Department of X, Y, fill out the blank approval on it, is kind of disingenuous, because we have so many things that we don't know about our universe, about our space systems, about our ecosystem, about our geography, our own geography, that we can't control and can't answer all those questions. So it would be disingenuous to say that this information that we continue to publish is anything other than just for the control of mind versus informing mind, something that we truly have a substantial opinion on. I'll leave it at that.
I like how you said that, brother, because in retro, if an agency was to tell you that the only reason why we have cloning agencies to where we're cloning humans is so that we're able to use the bioengineer as fuel for another species, there would be no way to rationalize that to the people. You know what I mean? People have a hard time understanding Democrats and politics, let alone an unidentified object that's too grand. It's too. There's a small portion of the populace like myself and you guys who would be like, all right, it is what it is. Let's find out where we're going to go from here. But a lot of people will go in uproar. So whatever that is being released from the UFO files and things like that, first of all, if it was released to you, that's only probably a 0.1% of everything that was learned within that time frame. And if you're being told that, then there's probably a reasoning behind that. But if you're not being told that, there's probably a good reason for that too.
Interesting.
Agreed.
I'm listening to y'all.
But yeah, Jay, I really don't. I just, in the smallness of my.
There's a higher level of consciousness that comes into play when we're talking about the Dr. Williams of the world, who have studied these phenomena over the past 15, 20 years of their life versus random released files to pull back attention from larger scenarios in the governing space that would keep our attention. So they're just, as we call them, false flags. And I'm not gonna, go into all of that. I'm still beholden to some information myself. But what I will say is that there's a level knowledge of these things, and then there's complete and utter control mechanisms that are put in place. And I believe that this is just another one of those events, a false event. So.
Interesting. I like to hear two different perspectives. Wow, I didn't expect that. And that's a great perspective to really look at it. Like in the movie Men in Black Part 1, if you guys remember that and the viewers watching it, there was a scene where Tommy Lee Jones is with Will Smith when he's recruiting him, and they're looking at New York. And Will Smith is like, man, why the people deserve to know, man? And Tommy Lee was like, come on, you know as well as I do, humans are stupid, they're crazy, they're irrational, and they're dangerous. And so when he said that, I remember as a kid when I watched it, I was like, oh, wow. So hearing you two explain it with the level, and then Jojo, when you said humans, they're arguing over male and female relationships, racism, all these lower level chakra arguments that I feel we should have been. It's like elementary. It's like people haven't matured. Rashada Ali or Shazada Ali said the average black woman doesn't mature past the age of 14 mentally. So I wonder what the average population mentally is able to handle. And also when you guys were talking about what they throw into the lexicon, what they have us arguing over clearly is manufactured. The knowledge that we've learned, the knowledge that we've learned, the TV shows, the media, the miseducation, all this has to do with us not being able to handle the base reality. And that's scary because that means that people die not knowing. And through my studies, you would have to come back if you don't graduate from this school or class or universe, which is a university. So by dumbing down the population, people are worried about religion, cars, clothes, money, their favorite actor, instead of going within, and then also being able to start seeing the universe for what it is. If we, and that's the thing, cutting off certain, what they say, humans. So when we say not everyone is mentally capable to receive this level of information, so this is why they're doing it slow. And then also some of the information certain people don't need to know. But those watching the show would be like, Jason, Durel, Jojo, we deserve to know. So what do you guys feel about that? Keep diving into that, because just like even masonry, people question stuff like that and say, oh, the Masons hold all the information and da-da-da-da-da-da. But also it allows you to see that there's degrees and steps to obtaining certain information to protect it, because certain information people can use to manipulate and cause harm to people, which I feel today is what we're living in, a government that has dumbed down society so much to where when we start speaking of extraterrestrials, which is simply neighbors or family in the universe, we're not able to talk about it. So you guys go ahead. You know, I'll be rambling the whole time. So I don't know if that was a question, but so let me read what Donald Trump said.
To finish off with what you were saying, Brother Jason, do you remember when we were a kid and we had this fascination of seeing the stove and we always wanted to touch it, but your mom sits there and says, you don't want to touch that, but of course you have to find out it's hot before you realize don't touch the fire, right? Well, for educational purposes, of course, you know how that goes. If the populace were to be told, hey, this is going on, podcasts alone would be what destroyed America, or really just the time for us. It's not going to be the basic. Yes, it's misinformation, because whether you know it's happening or not doesn't change whether it is going on or not. But if you have free thinkers and you have free people who are radical, and they get hold of this information and it is deemed true, well, there would be a lot of people who wanted to start an alien church. And then there would be a lot of colonizers who would say, okay, well, we're going to do this. We would do this. It would put us so far to the left that it actually would probably be what killed us, in all transparency, because when we're kids,
Jojo,
go ahead.
Jojo, to that point, it's funny that you bring that up, because then you can jump right into the metaphysical topic, or when you want to get into frequencies of emotions. All of these podcasts, all of these information systems, even for last minute UFO file release to be put into the ether, all of these frequencies are low vibrational frequencies. They're where we get to the point to where we are able to understand things that take real introspection to discuss and to understand and to accept and to investigate. That it requires a higher level of consciousness and thinking. And these caste systems, vibrations are not in those areas. So we're talking about shaming, guilt, anger, apathy, grief, all of these low frequencies, especially what we see an individual who is leading us and leading our nation, coming from a place where he's like very angry, very beside himself, very prideful. All of these things are in these low frequencies, to where the information is coming out not to educate anyone. If it was at that place of enlightenment where it was coming out to educate us, then it would be a totally different ballgame. But these messages are coming out at such a low level because of anger and manipulation and control, that it's the reason why it shouldn't even be taken more than just as a manipulating tactic. When we're talking here,
I was going to say, and to add to that, you also have to give perspective to your mom. Okay, so your mom is how old, Jay?
79.
So for the 79-year-olds who still have close relationships within proximity to their grandchildren and their children, you also have to understand that that's 79 years of believing in a religious-based thought process. So when you spent your whole 70s believing in this one linear line, and this is my finish line, my middle, and my start, and then you throw in the reality check, what happens to those people? I don't care if you're Krishna conscious, Christian, Muslim, I mean, any religion, I really don't give a fuck. What happens to those thinkers when they've just been told that there is a lie? And then on top of that, you got to also consider there's people at work. Only reason they didn't mark them out is because of Jesus. So what happens when Jesus doesn't matter no more?
Well, that's what I feel they plan the society for. That's the whole point, to where they bring in for the robots, the collapse of their society is all planned. So if they can reveal, or even if they do the Project Bluebeam and then create earthquakes and disasters, fake wars, disease and famine that they release, and then this is the collapse of their modern day society, which they did on purpose to bring about what we call a new world order of microchipping a population, everyone under surveillance, food that's poison, and depending on your class, you'll get either organic or a pill form of food. Same thing with currency, with the wealth gap. All these things I feel are prepared for the finale, which they created in their script, which they call the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah. That it's an actual manuscript, an act. And once people believe it, and you can find them to these cities that I feel are prisons, and like you both were stating, you give them a miseducation, not the education of our ancestors of somatics, sacred geometry, knowledge of self, the knowledge of the earth grid, knowledge of our body, how to operate our human body machine properly. That's done on purpose. So you've tricked the whole planet of all so-called nationalities, all colors, because naturally it seems that people would come to Atlantis, which is America, and then also the other Egypt of the East.
Hold on, Dr.
Like,
Williams. So
but-
you were talking about Project Bluebeam. Mind you, education, this entertainment purposes, of course. Wouldn't that be described as 9/11? Because
Hey,
after
that's a
that,
whole nother topic.
after you talking about fake wars, well, no need to talk about that one because it's pretty common knowledge on the reasoning behind that. But that also put us into a hyper cyber state of what we would think is cyber protection is actually spyware. People with all these rings on their doors, people who have all these TVs which have microphones, and every time you want to go somewhere and you're monitored, this, that, and the third. And then on top of that, what was COVID? You said famine, disease, and fake wars and all that. I think Project Bluebeam been in acts for the last 100 years, but they gave it a title somewhere within the 50 to 60 mark.
I hear you with the fake wars, but Project Bluebeam would be our ancient ancestors used to work with hologram technology. So they would project holograms in the sky in ancient temples and festivals like they did with the Tupac hologram. So the same thing is what the government plans to do is when they create these events, people are so used to the image that they see of Jesus, a white man with long hair. If an event is occurring and you start seeing visible spacecrafts in the sky, and they start shooting a hologram of a white guy in the freaking sky, people are going to believe that Jesus Christ is returning, not understanding and knowing that that is not real. It was created in a book for the slaves, so the elite who operate off of a different education system, a different calendar, they could control those who are miseducated regardless of their skin color. And so the finale, even in their Bible, in their Qurans, is always a war in the sky. What is it when their God returns? Thunder and lightning, the earth shaking. That's a spacecraft. We can even start going into Ezekiel's will, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-pointed star. So what do you guys see when they start showing us these pictures, though? So when you say a lot of people haven't seen UFOs on a massive level, but what if people have been seeing crafts in the sky, and because of the miseducation system, people, like you basically say, is unidentified? But the reason it's unidentified also is because we've been taught all our lives that that's not real. It only exists in movies. But when we study our ancient cultures, we clearly see that we were dealing not only with extraterrestrials, but we were advanced. So what you will call humans had already created your Delta Airlines, your Spirit Airlines, your NASA. So that would mean that in ancient times, not everyone died in these, what they will call, they used the Noah floods and things to manipulate people on, we know that there are resets, but when you start saying everyone died, well, what if everyone did not die at the last cataclysm? And if we know that there were stargates, advanced technology, that would mean that so-called humans could possibly be the ones flying a lot of these spacecrafts, because if they teach us that the land masses are only America, Africa, Antarctica, Asia, Europe, and the other small lands and islands, what if there is more lands? Hence more land. So once again, if there's more land masses than what they teach us, that could be where these advanced civilizations are coming from. Not just outer space, but also from the land. And as a Air Force officer or I know he's not say officer, but basically I was going to say the Navy.
Wait, what's his perspective on that? Because you said a
So
really
let me
big
do my
topic
part.
there, brother Jason.
So the Navy too, like
let
Jason.
him keep saying, I'm taking it all in. And
so as we look at it there, it could possibly, because if you're in the air and we're learning that the Earth is not a circle and round, and that it could extend, and there's other land masses, even with the Air Force, where do they say stop? You guys cannot travel further, like they say things like the ice wall. So if they're having us focus on aliens and not focus on us once again, of our inner body and what we're capable of, and if we know our capabilities as so-called humans to build these things, that possibly could mean that there's other civilizations that are visiting us. And I know I'm rambling, but also to the picture to the right, y'all, it on the government website, it says that this craft appeared out of nowhere, and that it came through basically a wormhole. So I know that was a lot, but what do you guys feel about that? Are these crafts possibly humans? Are we alone in the universe? And extend further on why you guys feel this might not need to be revealed, misinformation, and just go further. I know I said a lot because I want to get deeper into this.
Go ahead, Joe.
And as Donald Trump, the UFOs release, he says, as promised to you, the Democratic War has released, the Democratic War has released the first franchise of the UAP files to the public for their review and study in an effort for complete maximum transparency. It was my honor to direct my administration to identify and provide government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomenon, and unidentified flying objects, whereas previous administrations have failed to be transparent on this subject. With these new documents and videos, the people can decide for themselves what the hell is going on. Have fun and enjoy. President Donald J. Trump, war.gov/UFO. So it's here. It's no longer a debate. This is in the lexicon, y'all. So it's no longer a debate. They're releasing it slowly. So this picture you see, it says on the website, actual site photo with FBI lab rendering graphic overlay depicting corroborating eyewitnesses reports from September 2023 of an apparent ellipsoid bronze metallic object materializing out of a bright light in the sky, 130 to 190 feet in length, and disappearing instantly. So,
Brother Williams, Air Force Williams, what's your take on that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I in 23 years have never seen an object that I wasn't able to say was either adversarial or defensive. So it's just very interesting when I see certain. But here, there's a different side of me that does not deny that this universe is vast, and I don't believe for a second that we are here alone. So that's that. But in my military experience, I've never seen anything that I didn't believe was adversarial or defensive in nature, or offensive for that matter.
But you can say they exist.
As I've flown, I believe so, 1,000%. And I've actually wondered why if I spend so much time in the air and abroad. To your question earlier, the highest I've ever been on a flight was near 50,000 feet where I could see the curvature, but it does not speak to the fact that there's an everlasting horizon that I'm also looking at when I'm flying too, into where that never changed. So if that horizon is continuous and that never changed, then what is happening to my psyche at that point? I can, I don't believe in any of these moon landings and so on and so forth, because I believe that a lot of the technology that we have still can't place us where there may be other areas of contact. Doesn't mean I don't believe that it's happening. I believe they're out there. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I just don't believe that we are placing ourselves in an area to observe what is out there, because we can't explain it besides these pictures and videos that come back that look like they've been doctored or just
like these pictures I'm showing y'all. These are from the government website, and it's rinky dink, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Most recently, NASA went down when we had these otherworldly bodies entering into our orbit.
Right.
Whatever you want to call them. There's a bunch of names they've given.
Three-Eye Atlas.
Yeah, but NASA didn't work. The cameras didn't work at the time. Right. So when we receive these images and they've had enough time to hold on to these images, it feels very doctored, and it's like you're patronizing people. It doesn't seem like these are actual events that are recorded and documented and disseminated as is, so where we can all make that discovery and that judgment for ourselves.
I definitely would agree with that. It's still, what if it's not just a giant craft and showing you full 3D image? But like you said, what does that do for society? Jojo was saying about religion. People are saying that's going to be the new religion if extraterrestrials start appearing, or if more crafts start appearing. But I would say, isn't religion basically a UFO cult already? They're waiting on Jesus.
Totally.
That would be an extraterrestrial, something outside of this planet coming to rescue them, and then the craft of God, a mothership. So
we all fantasize about what we think this should look like. When you go back to the movie The Hunger Games or the Divergent theory, what ends up happening is there's these total institutions that we all become indoctrinated in. And there's 5 main ones that we know about, and we live in these caste systems. Religion, education, prison, military industrial complex, family, and medicine. And in these systems, we continue to be given theories, and we're domesticated and told how to believe in whatever the topic may be. And one of them strongly is divinity and the afterlife. And there's different paintings that are made for each one of us in these systems of what it should look like.
Wow.
So the fact that no one has an idea of what that really looks like, but we know that it's greater than what we can explain, then you're typically, based on your indoctrination system, gonna go with whatever that indoctrination system is. That could be Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, so on and so forth. That could be science, Big Bang. That could be whatever that caste system domesticates you to be and to believe. But everybody is kind of saying the same thing with no actual proof. So most of the theories we're throwing out based off of what do we think as Christian nation or Muslim nation or so on and so forth, what that should look like, what that should be. So then all we can do is try to control people's mind to whatever they were domesticated and trained to believe that the imagery appears to be. But if you are somebody who has gone out and studied these things for yourself, then you may find that there's something that you identify as going on, which is stronger and greater than what that caste system and that domesticating system is telling you it should look like. That is where you come in, and you explain these things from a different perspective of where most of these other systems are not. They only indoctrinate you so far to believe what you go through, as he gave an example of 79 years of life, 50 years of life, 40 years of life, to believe that that is the end, and that is where the next phase of life, as we come to see, even begins, because it's not the end, it's just the beginning.
Ooh, I love it. And there you go. If they can trick people, it's really their thought, their imagination of death. Our ancestors said we never died, and that basically this was our testing ground to prepare us for the other side. So if they can strip us of that, then once again, they can deceive us and control the narrative, because you are saying we don't know what it really, really looks like. Depending on one's perspective, that's what it looks like. Like the Christians now, the Christian podcast, now they're admitting there's aliens, but they're demons, they're demons, they're demons. And it's
Right,
like, wow.
right.
So you're admitting they're aliens, but now they're bad. But your God is supposed to come, which you don't know what it looks like. So it is. So that once again proves how religion is dangerous, because no one's truly seen Jesus. No one's truly seen this word called God or entity is spelled G-O-D. G is 7, O is number 15, and D is 4. So those are numbers. Once again, confusing people, because if you don't know that G is actually the letter 7, and then 7, you can look at the letter 7 as a 90-degree angle, or you might not even. So once again, the hieroglyphs or the glyphs of the numbers create a sound, and those sounds eventually create sentences, just like a prison sentence. So once again, through those word spells and vowels and interchangeable tones, they can lock you and control your imagination. Once again, controlling the narrative when we get visited by extraterrestrials. But the difference is, many of us have always been getting contacted. It's just we live in a system where people like such as myself, it was denied. So that would mean, like I always say, the kids with ADHD, those who are labeled with ADHD, those are what the CIA.
Segue.
They call this.
Segue.
They call this the star seeds. So
okay, so to that point, Don Miguel Ruiz wrote the book The 4 Agreements, where in the 4 Agreements, he specifically talks about domestication as a child, where it takes place, where every caste system wants domestication to take place the most, because when the mind is controlled from for a child, or the mind is broken, be it divorces, adverse childhood experiences, whatever the case may be, then it is easy to move that child into one of the total institutions. I'm in a prime example of going into the military as an institution based on my childhood experiences and adverse childhood experiences. Or you may go into prison, or you may go into the education system, or you may go into the extreme religion system. But to your point about not neurodivergent, what I find in studies is that ADHD, autism, and neurodivergent conditions those children are the only life force that you cannot make, or you cannot force them. Let me rephrase that. Those neurodivergent children are the only souls that you cannot force into a system because their domestication doesn't exist. They're neurodivergent. They don't have they have a greater ability. Actually, it's actually superhero level. It's actually, I think it's the incarnated soul coming back into this particular experience that they chose for themselves, and they're so far ahead of everybody else at these frequencies where they can't even keep up with them, that neurodivergence of autism, ADHD, so on and so forth, is them telling us, I actually won't be domesticated and put into these divergent systems. That's where you get the movie The Hunger Games, the Divergent, all of these different places where you see these what is it called? You know all of these series that I'm talking about, these dystopian series.
Listening, brother, and tell people this brother is getting his PhD, by the way. So you're listening to a real psychologist. I'm listening, brother. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you've ever watched the Divergent series or any of the dystopian series where Hunger Games or whatnot, where you've seen individuals be forced to make a decision to be a part of a caste, and then they say no, and they're outcast. And then the rest of the film is based on how everyone else in those caste systems chase and try to destroy the character who decided to not be a part of the caste and outcast. Well, those psychologies and psyches are more advanced than the children who have neurodivergence, who are telling everyone, I will not be a part of the caste system. I am outcast because my way of thinking is kind of a little bit higher and more advanced as a neurodivergent. And those are the ones that are like downtrodden and told are weird and told are should have exceptional services and so on and so forth. But when you deal with them and you listen to them and you watch them with visual and spatial awareness and STEM and so on and so forth, you find that those are actually the geniuses of our society. I say all that to kind of get into what we were talking about it. What is otherworldly? What is the truth? Who is telling the truth? Who is forcing us to understand and know what does God look like, or so on and so forth? We have souls that walk amongst us every day that I believe are reincarnate, and have dealt in these spaces where they've come back to try to teach us and guide us through. So I'll turn it.
Oh man, that was amazing.
Well, brother, it's really funny how you guys, or not funny, but I think it's really interesting how you talk about the psychological orientation of like God. You've made a personality, you've created an identity, you've created a physical form, and you've also concluded whether it's going to be male or female.
You're breaking up a little. You're breaking up a little, Jojo.
When you say that I don't agree with the programming, was like in those movies.
Jojo, we're losing you.
Pick up from what he was saying, Brother Williams.
Oh no, he's making a great point right now. Jojo, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, you're breaking up on us. It's scrambling. Probably because you're moving so much. It's breaking up.
Yeah, just go back to the original point you made. That's such a good point.
Yeah, he paused.
Okay, well, if he's gone for now, then
Wait a second.
You there? If not, we're
Can
gonna
you hear
have
me?
to. Now we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Jojo.
Yeah.
Okay. No, what I was saying was it's really ironic that they've created the orientation of God. They've given you a gender, they've given you a personality, they've given you the option to believe that it's male or female, but you have no more imagination in that. So the moment that you say that I don't agree with the programming, like the movies, you're immediately ostracized, or they call you a demon, or they really, in any type of Christian faith-based organization, the moment you say anything other word than what was taught, you're immediately pushed into your own little area, whether that information is true or not.
Agreed. And to the point that, you know, you're bringing up with some of these pictures, you know, Met Gala, different ways of expression. Yeah, you just brought it up, right? So some of these ways that individuals want, I mean, with these, all of these expressions are the psychosocial way of stating that I am not going to be fit into the caste system. I'm actually, you know, so most of these souls may have received contact or may have some knowledge of what exactly is going on. That's in the ether, that we're trying to explain, that these institutions keep trying to pin individuals down into believing that it is the way, and this is how they express themselves. Not to say that some things can be radicalized to the left or the right. So, you know, we're not speaking about radicalness, but what we're speaking is at the base level of an individual saying, I see it, I'm expressing it, I've been, you know, in contact with this other realm, whatever that divinity is to me, because I like the title God as a good orderly direction. That's the acronym that I use for God. It's a place where every one of us can meet on the same playing field and say, if somebody says, do you believe in God, but you're not able to express what that is, well, do you have a good orderly direction? What is your true north? What is your north compass? Back to the star system, you know? That is what God is for all of us when we can't come to agreement based on these caste systems and how we've been individualized and cast down and cast out, and how we are told to believe. So that is why I'm not subscribed to what is happening. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
I was piggybacking off of what you were saying when he said some people. I was piggybacking when Brother Williams was just talking about, you know, some people, they've been talked to. Well, when I died, I had got an opportunity to see some weirdly, it was completely opposite. It was so much that when I went to go talk to a preacher about it, he basically just told me, oh yeah, that's purgatory, or oh, that was just the devil trying to mislead you, or so you never really had any place like to bring that, whether that story is 100% true or whether it's made up in your mind. Prison planet, or at least Earth, not many people on that open consciousness can actually discuss the possibility to maybe what you've seen was actually true.
Jojo, Dr. Jeffrey Long, the world-renowned near-death experience authority, asked almost 1,000 individuals who had near-death experiences a group of questions. The one question that they never came back consistently and answered to him was if they saw God at the site of consciousness leaving their body in a near-death experience. He asked them several questions in the survey on what did they experience in that moment where consciousness, where they perceived consciousness left their body and they were a being of consciousness in the ether. He asked them a series of questions, and many of them answered the same thing about light, vibration,
frequency,
all of them. Many of them answered that, but not many agreed to the question was, were you able to see a God, a Christ, a Buddha, or whatever the case? Was there a deity that you proceeded to in your near-death experience?
Yes.
That was not largely answered in that survey.
Has Jason ever told you the story of when I died? Or not really? So when I died, the first thing that I was greeted by was actually a deity. And the deity had no name. I could describe it. It was a woman as well. It was, I'd say, like a greenish purple hue, very tall, probably 70 feet tall. And the deity was terrifying looking, but when you're around it, you felt the safest in the world. So of course I wanted to see what was hell, and then I wanted to see God. So when she showed me God, I kid you not, God looked just like the stars. Like when you look up, you see a bunch of seeds, right? They look like seeds. But when you want to give anything life, it has to come from a seed, including thought. So when you want to plant an idea, you have to plant the seed. When you want a child, you have to plant the seed. When you want a garden, you have to plant a multitude of seeds. So when I was shown God, God really was just a ball, literally a sphere with a lot of abnormal colors.
That checks with
Wasn't a
many of their
boy.
NDE. That checks with many of the NDE reviews that said it was fluorescent lights and energies and frequencies. And some people even talked about certain planets where they believed that the life review was taking place, or the choosing of the reincarnated path was taking place, or as you said, to your effect, of stars and seeds, star seeding, which Jason has been on this for years. So many of those stories are consistent with your story. If you have a chance, you know, when you're not doing whatever research, preparing for your next meeting with Dr. Williams, I highly encourage you to go into Dr. Jeffrey Long's NDE experiences and his studies, and you're going to find it consistent with your experience.
Dr. Jeffrey
I'm really
Long.
interested.
I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah,
for
I'm
him.
very interested because thank you. It's funny because I actually was brought to many more dimensions. Like when I got to this, whatever you want to call it, everything I experienced was truly self-induced. The deity essentially, when I first met her, first started by saying, "Are you afraid of me?" I'm like, "Nah." She's like, "Why?" I was like, "Cause I'm already in hell, so I mean, you know, hey, what danger ever comes to come is something I can't control. So you know, I'm just neutral." And then she started asking me, "Okay, well, why are you here? What do you want?" And a series of questions, but never really spoke to me. It was all in the mind or whatever. But in this, whatever the hell you want to call it, anything was possible and anything was more real than what we're experiencing right now. So she brought me to different dimensions that I was all curious about. So when I went to see God, that swayed my belief as far as like Christianity and all that. When I wanted to see the devil, or what we would consider or describe that creature as, in that place, it had more description of what was the sole purpose of its existence. And then somewhere towards the end, find out that really harmony couldn't exist if you didn't have that duality. The black and white is what makes life so special. If you had a good day every single day, you wouldn't even be grateful. You would have became acclimated. You're used to it. It's not.
If every day is a sunny day, then what's a sunny day?
Yeah, you wouldn't even know what the sunny day was because you're so used to it. So then in that, you know, you start asking the deeper questions. How is the world made? What is the world shaped like? Why do we need this? Why do we have Christianity? What is religion's use? And you start getting into the deeper, and the deity ended up towards the end of this dream or whatever state you want to call it. I said, "How many people have done this?" And she said, "There's many who've done this, but never to this degree." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" She was like, "There's plenty of humans, or, you know, those chosen ones who, when they died or had a near-death experience, their yearning or whatever they wanted really wasn't deep enough. Most people, when they get to that place, they're like, how do I get rich? How do I be famous? How do I have the worldly possessions? This is that and the third." But the more she starts talking about spirituality and frequency vibrations and really just our
human experience, I came to realize none of it mattered. All these man-made things, how do you say? How she concluded to me was all
I
of
think
these
that's
man-made,
beautiful.
thank you, all these man-made engineered things that you argue about, think of, conspire, or the moment that it touched the proximity of your memory is when you now have just got into their programming.
I think that's why Don Ruiz's book on the Four Agreements is so important to read. He comes from the experience of a Toltec Indian. Like, where literally he stated, when you are domesticated, you are taught what is important and what to believe, and you enter into a rat race that you can never exit from unless you decide to step out of the matrix. Like, you have to then be like the rest of these movies where you are saying, I am not going to be a part of the rat race, but your psyche, the damage that can be done to your psyche and your, that's pathology that leads to all types of other issues where we're talking about depression and anxiety and suicidality and so on and so forth, because the system that we are a part of is going to tell you that you made the wrong decision. And it's going to blame you and shift blame to you for trying to be something that truly your soul identifies with as wanting to be apart from the crowd. And that's why so many people feel alone. Well, I won't say so many people, but there's like people like us who we teach, who we operate with, and so on and so forth, that feels like they're aliens on this planet because their soul knows exactly what it is you stated, Jojo. Once you went to the life review, in your NDE, you went to the life review, and your life review was, how do I know the inner workings of the world and how my soul can exist and make other souls benefit from what I have experienced here in the life review. And so a lot of people who come back from that life review are said to be better off for humanity because of the way you introspected in your life review. And you were given that chance to come back and it wasn't time for you to go. This is highly recorded in Dr. Jeffrey Long publishing. You must go back and read it. And also Don Miguel Ruiz Jr.'s The Four Agreements, because he's going to talk about that domestication process, exactly what happens to our psyche and the agreements we must make with ourselves in order to escape that level of grouping and caste system. So,
wow.
I'm going to definitely take a research into that. And I will second the motion. When I woke up from that coma and when I was dead, of course you're met with the human emotion to where you want to be angry and all that. But then at the same time, you've seen something so much bigger than what you're able to really express. It only takes a little bit of time before that anger grows into curiosity, to where that's how a lot of the PTSD we were sharing about earlier, it was being exposed to something bigger than just what you went through in the physical. I mean, yeah, it sucks. You got kidnapped and tortured and all that. But I mean, for you to be able to die, come back to life, and then come back and explain to what you just seen, it didn't really make the pain that much more worse, because the deity, or whatever we would describe it as, explained to me what trauma was. PTSD, I mean, maybe on a metaphysical level, but doctors do not know how to cure PTSD, when in actuality, think of PTSD as an Adderall. Most people, when they're in their like people who come back from death, they've just gone through something so physical, and of course they have PTSD, but that extremism forced them to try to race the opposite way, to where, like how we might judge autistic kids because they're very linear and they're very, very fast, they might be a little different. So we kind of say, oh, you're in your own little world, there has to be a place where they can work on people like you. But a lot of the times I notice people who've died and came back to life are on an excelled track. It's like once you experience death, it's more near than you think. So every moment after that is like, I have to live it to the fullest.
There was a time, Jojo, you got to get into this book, man, the Four Agreements, where he talks about, he said death Death in the Toltec Indian community, Death approached the man and said, "You see all of this? I own all of this. Everything that you have, I own it. I let you borrow it. I let you borrow it."
Osiris, and that's the god of the dead.
How many of these? You've been talking about this for years, Dr. Williams. You've been talking about this for years. Well, they will tell you. There it is.
Keep going though. I'm listening to both of you. I'm learning.
Yeah.
That's what our ancestors dealt with. Death. That's why when we were in school, when the teachers who didn't look like us, they'd be like, "Oh, the Egyptians, they were obsessed with death. They would put gold and stuff because they said they could take that to the afterlife." Death. So keep going, because our ancestors said that this was the duat. And even Gnostic Christians, the original Christians that come out of Egypt, they said that the deity of the Bible was the devil.
So hold on, just to piggyback off of that. So I just want to say this to, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just got excited. But I was going to say, if you think about it, every single type of religious institution we're on that governs your whole entire life all focuses on death. So the objective in most of our secular religions is to know what's going to happen when you die. So you spend, so that's the trick. You spend all of your life focusing on death, and you say, okay, I want to die and I want to go to heaven and I want to go to that. You're preparing for a life after death when you've been given borrowed time in the present. So the deity then explained to me that death only really runs the earth because of the fear of. The Egyptians were the few people who didn't fear death, and it was celebrated because in their mind, that's the ascension point. Rather be Christianity kind of makes you scared of it. You're going to get judged. All of your actions, everything you've done in your life is going to be brought to you, and you're going to be all that good stuff. So fear.
Hey, let me tell you this, Jojo, and it's not even just, I'm going to say this. It wasn't even just the Egyptians. We're talking about the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Egyptians, the Japanese, so on and so forth. We could just go on down the line. Every one of them believed that death told them they were on borrowed time. So live your life to the fullest in the present moment, because you are not guaranteed that when death visits you and tells you you didn't enjoy anything that I gave you, you didn't care about life, you didn't care about introspection, you cared nothing about making people's lives better. So guess what? That borrowed time is up. That is what guided warriors to the battlefield in some of these ancient organizations and civilizations, because they believed that it was an honor to go forward and even die, because that is what they were put on this plane for.
Their contributions to humanity.
Yeah. And more so, we have focused so much through religious caste systems on trying to do right on this earth to achieve the lost to, yes.
And
Dr. Williams has all the books.
Mayans, how you were talking about death, their perspective. So when the Europeans were saying, oh, they were chopping their heads off after ball games and I was like, shit, they knew something that y'all didn't. If you know you don't die, and then you came to play the game, and you'll be, oh, bro.
Yeah.
So keep going.
It goes back to that soul. It goes back to that soul choosing its pathway. Understanding if many of us believe, so we put so much time into, I have to do good in order to get to heaven, because I have to do good, instead of on this earth that I have been given this time, the good that I do, and even the duality of the bad things that happen, is only preparing me for what is to come, not in the form of, oh, I've got to get accepted to heaven, but I've got to get accepted to, in this present place of helping other people become their greatest self, and having their souls elevate to become their greatest versions in this present realm. And that is where the reward is seen. And then your soul should be able to, whatever your belief is,
Yes.
transition to its next plane because of the elevation that it has brought to the souls that are in its presence.
Perfect. That's their next segue, like we were starting with the Moorish. So just like you said, you see us elevating. So instead of using the material Elon Musk Neuralink that they're trying to advertise with the microchip, the cell phones, the computers, it's taking away from the knowledge of self, that we are electromagnetic beings, that we are what they call light beings. And within that light is codes. So once again, the fun is also the education system of the so-called body. Because once we start understanding, like here, the human biofield, what science can actually measure, the heart's electromagnetic field. The heart produces a measurable electromagnetic field that changes with psychological and emotional state. So right there, it also states that living cells emit ultra weak photons during metabolic processes that can be detected with sensitive instruments. Next, brain waves. Electrical activity in the brain generates frequency patterns associated with different cognitive and behavioral states. In HRV, which is heart rate variability, HRV measures the beat-to-beat vibrations and reflects the balance of the automatic nervous system. And last, cellular bioelectricity. Cells maintain electrical gradients that regulate signaling, developing, and tissue repair. So we are infinite beings, immortal beings. So when you guys were saying we focus on basically, like Empress El will say, applications that they give us, whether it's aliens, UFO, God, Jesus, the Bible, new arguments to argue over that they introduce in social media, is all sports, entertainment, the playoffs, all
So can
done.
we say that there's a reason for the neurodegeneracy in the last couple of years that we've been experiencing with all the secular
Talk about it,
conversation,
please.
secular music,
Talk about
all of the go, 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 go. And then you have your headphones, you have the black screen, you have you're sleeping by your phone. So that changes your biochemistry and the aspect of you don't sleep the same when your phone is near your head. And then there's a good explanation for the neurodegeneracy. I mean, gosh darn, there's majority of the people out here so bottled up with anger and things like that, but there has to be a chemical reasoning on why we're experiencing so much that at such a crunch time packed level.
Because they want everyone to freak out soon. Just like the music, it's dumbed down so much. Kids can do it. So-called other races can do it and act like they're doing it. So keep going. It's all done, like we were saying of the start of the show, is for the last episode of The Matrix, the last episode of this movie that we're in this multiplayer dream world, our movie, our video game Matrix, we call. So keep going, Jojo. So the brain generates and you be cutting me off. Thoughts are electrical signals. Listen, thoughts are electrical signals, and repeated mental patterns create consistent electromagnetic signatures that influence the nervous system, heart, and gland, shaping your overall biofield. Like you guys were basically saying, by consciously directing thoughts and maintaining coherent brain-heart gland alignment, you can align your energy field to higher frequencies, amplifying clarity, intuition, and the capacity to manifest intentions into reality. And so what we're talking about, Brother Durel, of the ADHD kids, me graduating with the doctorate and knowing now, like I've been saying since a kid, 4th grade, getting in trouble. So my graduation ceremony is this Saturday. And so I've been whether it's the spirit, every day it's like my life in school has been being played back. From 4th grade when we first moved to Riverside, different classes, 5th, 6th grade, and I'm like, damn, I got in trouble, bro, for being the smartest kid. So I got put on
all the time.
Raise my hand. To my dad got mad because I stopped raising my hand because the teacher was like, he doesn't allow anyone else to answer the question, because I would always raise it, or I would finish my work fast, so I'm bored, I'm walking around. And that's when they put me on Ritalin. It's because I was already, I remember the teachers would be like, how does he know that? And they go ask my mom, like, you guys must be giving them answers. She was like, no. But once again, our parents can get convinced to put star seeds. The CIA, when I was getting the doctorate, doing my research, you guys can look it up, when they were releasing the CIA, just like they're releasing the UFO files. Last year in 2025, they were releasing the CIA files. And the star seeds, the black boys who were misdiagnosed, and people of all spectrums, but in particular, black boys who were born with ADHD are the star seeds. And just like you guys were saying with the frequency, my so-called theory, it's not a theory because it's my life, but it's what you were saying, that let's call it the God frequency. I am tapped in, and kids with ADHD who are born and diagnosed, you're tapped into the frequency that the other kids and basically humans, they're not tapped into. And so they're able to domesticate. And that's crazy. So when I'm listening to you, they would domesticate the other kids, and we're the ones who they couldn't control. I'm over here tapped in, getting information saying that's not true, it's this and that, and they'll be like, wait a second. I remember Mr. Falk at Arizona Middle School, I came up with a new formula in 7th grade, and the teachers, they had to go to the office, and it worked, but I was not able to put it in for homework and stuff. So once again, they know the so-called black kids, and they know right here as we go into this, they know who we are. So when a teacher who doesn't look like you, a so-called pale-skinned European teacher who knows your history, who went to college, who joined a fraternity or sorority, and they're taught who you are, they're taught that you're a Moor. They teach them that you're God. And so they're like, oh, we can't have this. They try to shut it down before you can even develop, because they know if you are left untapped and you can create the example for everyone else in your successful universe outside of what they gave you, outside of God, outside of Jesus, outside of their education system, boom. It's the same thing with my music. It still is, but at that time, it was a real world that people could live in, because they're like, man, Jason's one of the top runners in the country. He has one of the top underground albums. He has tour vans. He's doing people, and then I'm kicking knowledge. I wasn't telling my city and everywhere I went to gang bang and thug. I have songs called Spaceship. I have songs talking about the Matrix 20 years ago.
Yeah,
and so
very much true.
The labels, you could ask the barge, and then this is when I had to learn. They get scared because what they were going to destroy their world. And so basically,
you know, it's funny. We always talk about a new world order.
Wait, Jojo, hold on. So basically, with star seeds, we're the messiahs. We're the gods who return. We've been here before. Some of us are the creators of the stars, the plants, the seeds, the video game, the actual world are plugging back in. So when the school systems, what they call the mystery school systems throughout the world, the temples that you see, when those are shut down, that's when you see the people with ADHD short circuit, get on drugs, suicide, depression, or they have to fold into religion, and the world never gets to awaken because they kill the messiahs before they even become of age to even show the rest of the population that there is another way. And so that's what it is with my story, is that less than 1% of, it's like 0.009 of black boys who were diagnosed with ADHD and given Ritalin, the majority, they never make it to become a doctor, let alone a doctor of education. And so that percentage of a black starseed basically never happens. And so with that being said, that's why we're in the condition we are today, where you have fake messiahs being put as your celebrities. And your celebrities and people in power are not natural born leaders. They were put in position. Unlike when you're an athlete, let's say in college,
Engineered.
the coaches and their teammates make you captain. I was captain at Cal State, California State University of San Marcos. So I was captain of a university track team. And so it's a different responsibility than you just getting a position of presidency or celebrity, and you get to influence the rest of the world. Hence why we're looking at ASAP Rocky. ASAP Rocky is holding like a Apple medallion. And for this is signifying to those, like Brother Durel was saying, that the art, the culture, the sacred geometry, basically the other frequency that our ancestors and some of us vibrate on, we can still tap into. And there's proof of what happens when we tap into that frequency. And we can use words like Moorish Empire, Holy Roman Empire, Holy Roman Moorish Empire, Ancient Kemet. But right here, we see a Moor of Europe in the Renaissance age holding a cup or like an apple type of device that you see like a goblet in the middle. So I was just showing people that if you look at ASAP Rocky, his coat of arms, and to add that symbology of what we're dealing with right now as electrical beings. So now that we're on the topic of star seeds, us teaching that we're electrical beings, what is the civilization of a Jason society? What would a civilization be like? Instead of a cell phone, we're creating devices like an antenna like this, but it's actually electrical conductor. So now we can look at the Ankh and the Pharaoh's rod not just as a rod, but as an antenna. Just like you have your radio stations, like we used to have Walkman radios where you could dial into Power 106, Kiss FM. Imagine what our ancient cell phone and advanced devices were. So right here, you see that the electrical field around the Depla or Dejed antenna. So the Ankh wasn't just a symbol of fertility, of male and female unification and birth. We also made it into what they call the Ankh key. Unky, P Unky, the pi Ankh. So the mathematical symbol code to walk through a stargate, possibly. So, but factually, we could see that it's a cathode. And so now imagine the coils. As you guys see, I'm pointing to the screen. Let me see if I can closen it up for y'all. But you could clearly see the coils, and you could clearly see how the Ankh he's holding. So now if he's holding the Ankh, let's see if I could picture it.
You hear me?
Yeah. Hold on.
Hey. Okay.
Hey, Lana. So imagine holding the Ankh and you're able to tap into a radio tower like they did 99.1 Power 106, your radio station. But instead of the FM radio station that tells you to kill yourself, gang bang, materialistic, what were our ancient radio stations? Were we able to tap into spaceships, different deities, different planets? And then with all that electricity running through you, you would have like an outlet for the current. So now we could see why they strip not only the buildings in our technology, because now look at the buildings. So when you see that cathode on top of the buildings, don't look at it just as design of a wind blowing device. No, that's an antenna on top of our Moorish buildings and castles you see all throughout the world and America. So the antenna, the amplifier, the resonator, which is symbolism for the human body. Hence why the ancients said your body is a temple. So when you understand that you are an electrical frequency, an infinite being of light, and especially being melanated, unlike anyone else, your hair coils. Your hair literally coils to the number 6, the number 9. Hence why they make you fear 666, 369. They replaced it with a rapper because those numbers are keys to infinity, out of the loop, instead of 8 and trapping you in. So once again, the head would be you, your pineal gland, your crown. And once you decalcify, like we say, or you're able to be in tune with your so-called higher self, that's when you start communicating with higher level entities and ancestors, which are simply answers to our problems. Because once we understand ourselves and our ancestors, those are the answers, because you've been here before. You can't die. You never die. Hence why they had to destroy you on paper and through artifacts. And art is facts, artifacts. So here we see, like when you go to the dentist, they put an x-ray thing, or when you go under a CAT scan type of device. So imagine the coat that they put on you for the x-ray machine, and you're living in an electrical advanced society with free energy. So you have devices to tap into spaceships, entities, or friends across the globe, and walk through stargates. So I'm gonna pass the mic. So what do you guys feel of what these Moors are holding, possibly being advanced devices? And the garments that we wore wasn't just for fashion, but it was to empower our electrical etheric bodies. Hence why you see the jewels of the Moors, and look, his rod looks like the top of a temple top, because those, for my research and intuition, these are our devices. Hence why the crowns, that's an electrical device. So just like Elon Musk wants to do a Neuralink, we already had our Neuralink. Those were the headphones. So just like we have wireless headphones, those crowns were wireless headphones. And when we were vibrating on our natural selves as Moors, Mers, and Martians, we could make contact, direct contact with God. Because even in their Bible, they said that during the time of Adam and Eve, God walked and talked. And when you even study their books, they admit that there were people already here when they built the Adamites. Therefore, we've always been here. So if they erase us having a curriculum, if they erase us on paper, artifacts, and then destroy our buildings, they can make us think that we die. And that's how you get trapped here for eternity in hell. And that's the story of Osiris and Heru, that possibly we're dead right now. We're all freaking dead, possibly in hell, vibrating in a society on a lower frequency. So hell being a conscious state. And it's up to us to free ourselves up out of hell, a dead mind state, because everyone else is dead. Most people don't give a fuck. They listen, excuse my language, they follow what they've been taught. Hence why they have to demonize the star seeds, because we're the last force of imagination, the magic nation. If this doesn't happen this generation, the kids are going to be locked in a prison, and those people who do not ascend mentally this generation, you're going to have to come back. But when you come back, it's going to be a prison you can't ever get out of.
To that point, Dr. Williams, I think that might explain the rise and prevalence of neurodivergence, where people are trying to literally come up with a scramble in science. And I'm always going to talk to you because of research science is what I do. Coming from that perspective of why do we have so much X, Y, Z, all of these different things, because as you stated in the 1990s, the boom of Ritalin for BIPOC community is where we really started to slow down the productivity in the Black and brown and indigenous communities because of rap music, more type of drugs, more, I can go on with all the vices that we have, especially to medicate with Ritalin and so on and so forth, kill the personalities. Really what I see when I look at the unk and I look at the jewels, I see the shape of the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Now
this one?
Yeah.
Which one did you like?
The unk, the pineal, anything that gives the perception or the outline shape of the pineal, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the point of the brain in which when we take light in to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, we take the proper amount of light or block out the wrong type of light frequency. That's where our sleep regulation, our attitude is controlled from. Anything that you study within the suprachiasmatic nucleus, what ended up happening was the more that you sit by your bed with this and you scroll or you're in the video game or you do all of these things where that suprachiasmatic nucleus is not taking in natural light, but it's taking in Blu-ray light and so on and so forth, or frequencies, then what happens is it can control your conscious and how you operate and how hungry you are and how you regulate your mood and so on and so forth. So what I see when I see that unk or any jewel or whatever the case may be is what I thought our ancestors were doing were speaking about the importance of protecting the pineal area, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, these areas of the brain, hypothalamus or whatnot, where it controls all forms of behavior, regulation, and modification.
Yep, that's absolutely correct. Because aren't those what you're referring to? That turns into chemicals, those light frequencies.
Absolutely.
Those light frequencies, everything that we're watching, anything we consume, whether it be food, whether it be what we're watching or what we're listening to, all of that turns into a chemical. Our brain turns into a chemical, and then it downloads.
Yes. Literally, the circadian rhythm and the suprachiasmatic nerve, or nucleus, should I say, that literally controls from here, this thought of consciousness, exactly how we operate in our actions and behaviors. And we may be how do I say this properly? We may be one of the races that have been programmed directly through devices, trauma, and so on and so forth, to have that actual nucleus controlled and shut down, which affects all of our sleep, performance, anxiety, hunger, so on and so forth. It's all been controlled and manipulated, and it's one of the reasons why we store the amount of trauma that we store. So you can see all of these indications from ancient Kemet and any Greek symbology, where it was just us trying to show how important it was to hold up that area of the brain because it's to be protected at all costs. That's why I feel like the jewels were constantly talked about and provided imagery of just how much we wanted to protect this crown chakra, crown area, and crown seed of thought. So that's what I have to say.
Wow.
Now the thing is,
to piggyback off of what you just said, brother.
Go ahead, Joe.
Wait. Let Durel. Go ahead, Durel.
Oh, I'm just gonna make one more point. This is all perception psychology. This is a derivative of psychology that because of the control of our devices and reading materials and so on and so forth for our particular denomination of people, is something that we don't get a chance to get into and understand. It's more than what we just thought or felt about these images and what you've been teaching, Dr. Williams, and what you believe for 20 years since I've known you. But it actually is a pathology and psychology that you can talk about. That is, you can verify it in surveys and research. You know, all of this is real. We're not just, some people think when we talk about it, we're just speaking from feeling, but this is real. This is quantifiable and empirical data.
Wow, I'm gonna have to follow that, and
There's two things I want to.
We're gonna have to build.
I
want you to be part of the Matrix University.
Can you hear me?
University staff, bro. We're gonna build. We need a psychologist. Your perspective is off the chain, and I want you to build with my fiance. We're gonna come up with a curriculum. We're gonna come up with documentaries. We're in each other's lives again for a reason, brother. And I just want to say I'm so thankful that you reached out. I just want to tell you that I'm proud of you. Continue to talk to us, as I'm learning, and it's very, very rare where I can learn from someone. And once again, full circle, brother. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Brother Durel Williams, PhD student, baby. One of our brightest scholars as well in different sectors of knowledge and education. So you guys keep going. I'm listening.
One thing I was going to say to you, Brother Williams. So when I had that brain injury, it was really, really hard for me, perspective wise, to feel out conversation and to feel out people. When your brain, like you were saying, when one side of your brain is damaged, it can shut down how you move, how you think, and how you perceive. And a lot of the studies of current day with the younger folks, like if you look at the reading level of the high school student, it's going to be more towards a 6th grade level. Well, they started mimicking normal kids with technology being in the mix and stuff like that, and actually deemed them as about as useful as someone with a minor TBI or concussion. The reason being is because when, like you were saying, what you pump into your crown, what you pump into your brain, those 30-second reels, Instagrams, TikToks only really trains your body, because mind you, we're habitual creatures. So when everything is 30 seconds here, 20 and 10 seconds here, over time your brain is going to start to recognize a pattern. So when it comes to life and it comes to your depth of the rock, or the depth of how deep you can go, it becomes more and more and more shallow. So a lot of the kids now, when you talk to the teachers, you say, what changed? And they all say imagination. I say, what do you mean? Well, when we were kids, you're 6 years old, you're playing cops and robbers, you're thinking of, wow, what if the world was taken over by cotton candy? You know, what would that be like? But they don't really do that, because we have these devices now that give them 30-second ideas, to where after a while their hardware does not, or at least their pattern recognition on being habitual creatures by default, doesn't actually know how to turn that off. So that's why the kids nowadays, they're not as personal. They're more impressionable, but they don't really have much personality. So when you look at just as a whole, not even just African American, but especially with brain injuries and stuff like that, the type of programming that we're playing with as of the 2026, with so much habitual things being 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds, you're going to grow a generation of people with ADHD by engineering.
1000%, bro. Let me tell you something. It's very important that you're Dr. Jason. I just shared something with you. If you can bring it up.
Yeah, I'm about to add it.
That is the emotional frequency range. And basically, to your point, Jojo, Coco Melon and a few other of these cartoons have now been brought up in research science and perception psychology at the frame rate change. They understand that every 3 to 5 seconds, a frame rate takes place and a color change takes place. So wherein when we were coming up in school, some of the cartoons that we watched, the dimension of the way our eye perceives the light and the light refracts on our eye to our suprachiasmatic nucleus, was able to have our attention spans kept longer based on the dimension, the 1, 2, 3D dimension, the color pattern, repetition, so on and so forth. And what ended up happening is we were able to sit a little, especially for those who had ADHD in the 90s or whatnot, we were able to sit still with those images for a longer amount of time to dissect what that information looked like to us, even if we had neurodivergence. Now, the frame rate, the color pattern that is used in the, and it really happened when those Instagram, TikTok, and so on and so forth, 30-second reels took place, and it hooks people because then again, it's about perception psychology. It's the amount of frame rate and light refraction that takes place in your eye, gives back to the brain what it does, it absorbs it, bam, and then it becomes a addiction magnet for the frame rate as well as the type of light. You can look at a kid right now who has a tablet that has on Coco Melon or any one of those other shows, and you have to pull it away from them because it almost hypnotizes them. Based off, and so as you said, Jojo, we're raising a generation of neurodivergent children now based on these individual frame rates and color patterns in these shows that are going to push their behavior patterns over going forward into the future. To that point of what you were talking about, this is like the emotional frequency range here. If you got a lifetime of children that are operating in that grief, fear, desire, anger, Erickson's psychosocial stages of development, he talks about this. When you stay in these frequencies and you operate this way, then all you can do then, Jojo, is continue to put out that same frequency. And with children in particular, you know, hey, they're not hardly talking to you in a place of enlightenment, peace, and joy because they have adverse childhood experiences. That, you know, that's why it takes people like us who's on this forum to go out and educate them and leave those caste systems in this place of enlightenment, peace, and joy, so that we can start leveling everybody up. Otherwise, we're just going to have a generation, and we do. Let's just say we do. We don't even need to say what we're going to have. We do have a generation of kiddos right now in that lower frequency and adverse child experiences that are just, unfortunately, going to need a lot of our intervention going forward. So,
and it's crazy too, Brother Williams, because with that neuro, like we were talking about the kids and really population of like that, there's really no depth perception when it comes to violence. You got a whole generation growing up on King Von, Little Dirk, Little Wayne, to where you're pushing all these agendas, and you paint it so picture with money, cars, and everything these kids want. But most of these kids don't know that the majority of rappers have college degrees. So fame and all that fortune is not accumulated through talent and a 5-minute process. That's why when it comes to this new generation, you're going to have people who literally going to own nothing. They don't want children. They don't want property. They don't want responsibility. And both parties, male and female, have a real hard time with accountability. So not only are they going to be ADHD, they're going to be very, very passive aggressive or just flat out aggressive, because it takes discipline to be able to learn how to filter out stuff. But if you're processing life through a 30-second lens, when in that 30 seconds does someone teach you how to not react every time someone pisses you off?
And then they took didn't they take exercise? I know Jojo, aren't you? You're in education, right? They took exercise out of the school system, didn't they?
Yep, they took physical education because they felt that it was humiliating all the fat kids and thing like that. When in reality, that's not what happened at all. They just wanted to push. They wanted to push for diabetes, heart problems, and all that other stuff. Like, you got to think about it. Most of these kids are overweight. Diabetes has risen to an all-time high. All of these kids are in their middle school ages and they have problems of a 40-year-old. If it's not nutrition, it's what their parents are beating them. And as we were talking about earlier, what you put in your mind is going to then affect your body on a metabolical level. When your parents aren't leveled out and they're cussing at you every single day and they're calling you a bunch of names, on top of that, you're going to start having comfort eating. But then you have comfort eating with a whole bunch of things that don't have no nutrition. That's why the body of the young man is becoming frailer, and frailer. Have you guys noticed that?
So when you were saying the ADHD thing, also to add on, that's a misconception what's going to happen, kind of what you were saying, because they're trying to, like Paris Hilton right now, she wasn't put on Ritalin and all this stuff, but you have a craze of adults now, and it's an industry that's growing, if you notice how you were saying, of ADHD consultants, people talking about ADHD, and now adults saying, I had ADHD because it's a superpower and this, and it's like, nah. I'm talking about the kids who were diagnosed, who were super gifted, talented, and they tried to stop them and gave us Ritalin because they want to normalize it. So just like Jojo and them might think that the kids are going to have ADHD. No, that's fake. What it was is that we were star seeds, gods, messiahs, superheroes sent here to teach humanity the true way, basically a reset of the mind before they reset their fake society and you believe it. So if they label everyone ADHD who doesn't have ADHD,
and I want you to know, Dr. Jason, I can tell you you're telling the truth. In the evenings, I do youth and behavior coaching for families. I had a client last week, 8 years old. Guess what topic he brought to me on my first rapport building day? You're never going to believe it. You probably will believe it. He wanted to show me his rendition of the pyramids of Giza. I couldn't believe this. He sat down with me and showed me a scale model of the pyramids of Giza. His therapist and his mom said he's not going to talk to you. He doesn't like to talk to anybody. So he sat down with me and he's like, he pulls out, he doesn't even open his mouth. He pulls out a scale model of the pyramids of Giza. And he looks at me and his last name is actually Egyptian. He's only 8 years old. He's half Hispanic and half Egyptian. But he's only 8 years old. So I said to him, interesting. You built this model of the pyramids of Giza? He said, yes. I said, have you ever heard of Sharm el-Sheikh, Luxor? Or I started naming these different places in Egypt that also have pyramids and also have hieroglyphics and petroglyphics and so on and so forth. This kid began to talk to me for the next hour and a half in a way that nobody else heard him talk. He then began to talk about quantum physics. He then began to talk about, I'm talking about string theory. 8 years old, right? Well, what is everybody saying to him every time they talk to him? Have you taken your medicine today? you know, just all of these different ways where they treat him as an outcast, because now really what's happening is it's beyond ADHD. There's the DSM-5, DSM-6, the model sports psychological diagnosing. If you look in these different things, they're not really describing yet what has emerged in the culture, which is AUDHD, which is autism HD. Autism ADHD. It's a metamorphosis now of neurodivergence and Asperger's and ADHD, where kids are literally so brilliant and so genius on another level of conscious thinking, that even to go back to that frequency chart we've been talking about, even people who are stuck in those low frequencies of vibration can't even communicate with these kids. I'm talking about, he said to me, you know what, Mr. D, I can't believe you're the first person that was able to talk to me about quantum physics and string theory. He's like, everybody makes me feel like this kid skipped two grades and told me, I'm thinking about creating a way to travel into space and be Elon Musk competitive.
My kind of kid.
8 years old.
Love it.
What do you say to this, besides the fact that the point that you made? These star travelers, these are reincarnations. When people say stuff about you've been here before, it's not a theory. These souls on a higher level of thinking that understand what took place in the ancient and are here now to reteach us and to create different ways of getting the knowledge back to us that they have probably died with, and come back because they felt their souls were not done with their mission. You know, like everything that you're saying is all true. There's too many cases of observable cases where this is happening, and this is what I believe truly neurodivergence looks like right now in 2026.
Wow. Go ahead, Lana.
I was going to say, in topics like quantum physics would intimidate most folks, especially coming from a public school system. But when you're a starseed and you're starting to study those topics, it resonates with our soul. So it automatically should be downloading into our system, into our psyche, because that's information that we're used to. We come on this plane and they're teaching us their system, their education. We can't compute that. So it's confusing to us.
I agree.
And that's the picture right here, you guys. It shows Cloak of the Illuminati. It was a book I read in college and a DVD. I'm sure you could type it on YouTube. You might have lectures, William Henry. But he had wrote me back in 2005, and I loved it. And he's a pale-skinned European, but it was touching on, like we were saying, with star seeds. So in the back it says, Stargate, Secrets of the Anunnaki. Thousands of years ago, Stargate technology of the gods was lost. Mayan prophecy says it will return by the year 2012, along with our alignment with the center of our galaxy. This will bring the birth of a new matrix in a new human. According to ancient texts, what is needed is the cloak of the Illuminati, a super skin with astounding supernatural power, which makes a safe pathway through the Stargate, like the clothing I was showing you guys of the Moors and Murs and the Jewels and of the Knights. And so when we look at their clothing, it wasn't just beautiful fashion, it was to walk through wormholes. And when you link it up with the cathedrals, the pyramids, and all these ancient structures that you still see around us, you'll clearly see we were a time traveling civilization. So investigate investigative methodologist and author William Henry explores the secrets of the Illuminati and reveals the true power of the cloak and the illuminated, even in the modern world. Trace examples of stargates and wormholes in the ancient world. Examine myths and scriptures with hidden references to the stargate cloak worn by the Illuminati, including Mary, Nimrod, Elijah, Jesus. And so his book goes into detail that when we look out through our ancient education system, because that's really what it is, it's our ancient education system. Before they implanted this new matrix, our Empress Lana says a new application, new ideas for you to think, and replacing it with what you naturally resonate with, you get trapped here. But once again, within the book, it just breaks down how right now what Dr. Williams was saying. He's basically stating that us as star seeds, linking it up with the UFO phenomenons and all this, is transferring our transhumanism, not the transhumanism that those who control the society want of cross-dressing, hate, war, and all these things. No, us evolving to a higher level of consciousness, not just in thought, but our DNA. Because now that we learn that our thoughts, and like Empress Lana and Dr. Williams was saying, become a chemical compound. It becomes a chemical. So that means it transmutes and changes you. It transforms you. So it can make you depressed. It can make you happy. So what happens when we're vibrating like the chart we were seeing on that 700 imagination level for 20, 40, 60, 80, blah, blah, blah years. And you know you can come back. And that's what they don't want us to know. And that's the key to us who are real children of the Matrix, our star seeds labeled ADHD and put on Ritalin, who made it out, who broke the code, what you call family curses, who basically forgot who they were. And Christianity does that. So most Black households worship a God that doesn't even look like them. So they'll never get out of that prison. And so it takes one of you, people who are watching the show, to finally break that curse that was put over your mind, which is simply miseducation. And so there's an education system outside of yourself and also within. And that's what I feel the whole premise of the show is that they know we're evolving and going into a new level of consciousness and transformation, but they want to redirect it and control that and keep us unconscious, because once enough of us become conscious, they can't control us. But what they want when there's a situation for them not to control us, they want chaos, because we have not been given a proper education system, spirituality, to where we can build and create these magical cities and communities. But hopefully, but not even hopefully, this is what we're doing now with these episodes. This is the opening of the mystery schools, which is my story, our story, her story, the story of the God is a woman. God is. So I'm gonna pass the mic. So leading into Atlantis, lost empires. So the revealing of cities underneath the ocean, not just functioning now, but just even relics. So if the world understood that there was advanced civilizations prior to those in power, it would allow people to imagine again and create. Well, if they create a fear-mongering basis on that, that's how they can control us or create chaos and then create order throughout that chaos. So I'm gonna pass it. And what do you guys feel at this picture as we start closing it up? Now that we linked up us being electrical beings and us having technology to distribute that electrical frequency, hence why you see us to this day will wear the copper bracelets to ground us, to keep our pineal gland clean, So like Brother Durel Williams was saying, these jewels allowed us to cleanse our body, because we know copper cleanses the blood. So that meant that we understood, like, that's why they poison our shirts and clothing. They're teaching us that polyester and all these different fabrics basically kill us. So that meant that we wore clothing that was healing, clothing that vibrated, clothing and machinery that allowed us to bend time and space, or travel from Egypt of the West to Egypt of the East. Things of so-called that nature. And when I say Egypt, I'm simply saying highly advanced cities all throughout the world. And we could use evidence of Karl Monk. It's The Code. It's a DVD that I used to watch over and over again my junior year and senior year in college. And it basically connects all of our ancient monuments together through ley lines. And it speaks of a mathematical code. So it also lets us know that our ancients had a different education system than what we have today. So as we start closing it out, what can you start giving us with psychology to return to a higher form now that we're seeing the gift of us as starseeds being able to speak out? Because clearly we're the ones giving the information. But as a psychologist, what can we do to enhance this and form communities and then benefit financially? Because throughout history, it seems as though they say our underground scholars or esoteric scholars die broke. How can we benefit financially in a righteous way to not only make this cool, but to make this a real living, Brother Durel?
I think that's a pretty deep question there. And I believe just coming from the workplace psychology is particularly where I hail from, not clinical. A lot of this that I speak on is purely from research through the years and my undergrad work being in psychology itself and resilience and suicide prevention. I don't speak to the clinical side of it, but where I speak to the portion dealing with finances and resources and our ability to use what we have and what we make to
Hey, I would like to
our
add
education.
Wait, I accidentally
for sure
muted.
about resources.
Wait. I accidentally muted him. I was trying to mute me. Say the last 10 seconds you said, brother.
I think the picture I'm trying to paint is what we're going to utilize our resources and finances for to benefit from the perspective of what we're delivering this education to, is to make sure that we are not continuing to put more energy, effort, and resource into things that are frivolous, that do not continue to regenerate the thought of positive energy. If it's going to be, the psychology of that is keeping up with a system, as we talked about in the beginning, of those institutions where we believe that we need to be like everything we've been told to be in that domesticated aspect. But when we step outside of that and we realize that every cent that we have, if it is going towards higher consciousness, if it is going towards our family and generational wealth, and continuing to put our positive frequency in teaching what we're teaching out to everyone, then that wealth is going to be returned to us in our soul and give us enough energy and experience to continue to make the money that's necessary to do our mission, uphold our values, take care of our family, and that's what we need to live by. If you continue to get to a place where it's an abundance that you seek, then that's the kind of caste system that you continue to run in that circle of Joneses, to try to keep having enough to sustain you, and you can never have enough. So what I say to that is the psychology of having enough, giving it your best, giving it your all, and utilizing your resources to uphold your community and your family.
And then also, Empress L, I know you chimed in late with us. Anything to tap in? And what do you feel about this picture right here, Brother Williams, as we start closing out the last pictures? What do you feel about the world grid, the Earth grid, as it reads? Does anybody want to read what it says?
Wait, did you want me to speak or did you want him to talk on that?
Yeah, please let Empress Lana go ahead. I haven't heard her since the last time I tuned in, so I love to be quiet and let her get her information into the ether.
Well, thank you for your knowledge. You said Mr. Williams. Is everyone on this panel with the last name Williams?
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, in sync. Organically. Well, I thank you for your knowledge. It was great listening to someone else also in the same field. And to piggyback on that, it just sounds like what you're saying is exactly what we've been talking about, which is unplugging from the things that don't serve us well. We're scientists and we're psychologists by nature. And we need to get back to, instead of trolling and judging everybody's platforms on social media, because it's so easy to just get there and scroll. We'll get up and go to the bathroom, right? And we'll sit on the toilet and we'll just scroll. Like, that's the worst way to start our day. We're automatically killing ourselves, and we need ourselves to be healthy in order to thrive 1000% every day. So we got to get back to observing and then questioning, research, come up with a hypothesis, experiment, analysis, conclusion. That should be how we observe. That should be how we're moving every single day. Not judging folks, because we can't heal and we can't learn who we are if we're judging everyone. We have to judge self, because this is a fight between you versus you. This is me versus me. I can't change anyone but me. So if we grasp that concept, I believe that's the beginning of a healing process. And then from there, your ancestors, AKA answers, will begin to talk to you. Your organs will actually talk to you and tell you what they need. They'll tell you what nutrients they need and crave. You'll start craving stuff out the blue you never wanted before. Brussels sprouts. You know what I'm saying? It's because there's certain vitamins and nutrients that are in these plants, that are in these fruits and vegetables that your body needs in order to thrive, because everybody's DNA is not the same. They'll make you think that it is. They'll make you think we're all the same, but we're not. And so, to piggyback on what you were saying, Mr. Williams, absolutely. We got to unplug from these apps that we've been logging into every day. Unplug from those. Take a moment, observe, and start working on self. Analyze yourself. If someone, spoke to you a certain way, you can say, I didn't like the way they spoke to me. Now let me work on how I speak to people so that that's not continuously reciprocated. You feel me? Because it's a cycle we have to break, and it's all with us. But a lot of us blame somebody else. We're always blaming. It's because of you, I'm this way. Okay, stop. You can't change that person, but you can change you. And so if we all work on that, can you imagine what the world will look like in the future for our babies? So that's all I got.
And that, go ahead.
No, I'm passing the mic.
Nothing. I think my last words I'd like to say to the panel is, don't be an Insta thinker. Don't be a Snap thinker. Don't be a TikTok thinker. It only takes 30 seconds to ruin your life. It only takes 30 seconds to ruin the day. It only takes 30 seconds for you to put yourself in something where you cannot return to. Think about it. Don't be an Insta thinker. That's my final words.
And then your final words on the disclosure of the UFOs as we started the episode, tying it all to what we were speaking of. What does that tie in to you of what we spoke about this past 2 hours?
Is this pop quiz time? What'd you ask?
I said to add on, everyone should be able to identify the UFO that flies around in their mind. A lot of our thoughts are maybe not ours. Sometimes they're engineered. But those things are just like UFOs, where they're unidentified. They fly in your mind, and you don't really know how to control them. So I say that, you know, do some intro perspective, and like I said, find out what those UFOs are going on in your soul and your spirit, because not everything that lives within inside of us we need there.
Brother
Mike.
Pastor Mike. And then, as we start closing it out, studies find that humans are electrical beings which run on electricity. Therefore, humans actually need charging. Here are ways to charge your body and elevate your frequency. To the left, your energy field is penetrable. Human energy fields are penetrable. Can someone pronounce that better than me? Penetrable.
Is it permedial? I can't see it. I'm on my phone.
People
is it on the poster?
Yeah.
Oh, you said permeable. Yeah, permeable.
Permeable. See, he got me there. I have to improve. Permeable. When two people interact, their biofields begin to exchange information. A coherent field influences the environment. A weak field absorbs it. So once again, that means when you come amongst certain people, like Empress Elanu was talking about, and Brother Durel, when we come amongst other people, we're able to sense their biofield. Hence, the 8-year-old was sensing your field and felt comfortable, and then started opening up. And this is why we need to reform education based on the students and the star seeds that are coming in, because clearly the education system, the religious structure has failed humanity, and clearly it's based on us not having control of our cells, and cells are locked together. So what happens when we unlock our cells and cells, SELL and cells? And so we return to what we call infinite beings of light. And in the middle, that is us. We are that 5G tower that they build outside of us. But instead of us connecting to what we call celestial bodies or planetary bodies that are living, whether it's inside, because all the planets are inside and we project, same thing with what we see in the middle of the towers. They now put email, social media, movies, religion, and now they're bombarding everyone with so many different timelines. Like we were saying in previous episodes, 20 years ago or 40 years ago, it was channels 1 through 4, then 1 through 13, then they gave us cable, and that basically created different timelines for people. And then we started learning that they would change certain endings of movies and then edit director's cuts. So certain people would say, oh, I saw this, and then it would create a Mandela effect. So they're tricking us in so many various ways to get outside of ourselves, to lock us in a cell mentally, physically, and spiritually. So with these type of conversations, we're able to vibrate and touch those frequencies. And when the rest of the world understands and knows that what they deem demonized or weird or bad or conspiracy theories is true, and it's not just us returning back from the future, our ancestors left us everything. It's still here, even though they destroyed what is outside with the temples. We can reconstruct that, but most importantly, we have to reconstruct ourselves. We have to reconstruct our light bodies, and it starts with our minds, taking control of our minds. And just like in the middle, instead of the social media and all these bombardments of your radio tower, because you are that tower, start being careful. Use discernment on who you allow into your radio tower.
Hello.
Because the goal of the radio tower, as you see in the middle, is to get to the highest frequency and spread as much as you can, and then bring it all in. So you want the cleanest, most top information as a deity, as a god, as a tower, whatever you want to represent yourself as. but it's an experience. And that's also what I feel they're doing with the sporting events, religion, education. They're like controlling the fun. Like, this is fun. Watching the Laker game is fun. This movie. What if there's a whole nother form of entertainment and outertainment that we've yet to tap into once we vibrate on frequencies? Because I feel people think that they'll be bored once all this, if the city's in. It's like we're addicted to their illusion because we know nothing else. And once again, that's why I say us as starseeds are so important, because we're the ones who are the radio tower, but we're still connected to that God frequency. And that's how we're able to create innovation. But if they stop us and demonize us, or use Hollywood to say, these are the celebrities, these are your leaders. And now they use podcasts and YouTube to where they replace the conscious leaders with YouTube scholars. And they pay them to get in the algorithm. They blackball channels such as ours to where the real world is harder for them to make direct contact with the alien who walks amongst them. Because like we were saying earlier, you don't know what it really looks like because they told you what it looks like. The tree's an alien, the bee's an alien, the praying mantis. So when we look at all these different beings who can, a spider can shoot a web out and jump. Like, have you ever seen a spider's web? That's sacred geometry.
It sure is. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Sorry, I've been reading on water molecules, and I saw the similar shape of like a beehive and also spider webs. I'm like, yo, like the universe is so amazing.
And so we are. And so that means we're
Hey, my phone is about to die.
Well, bring it back to life, Jojo.
Peace out, brother. You got to
work right now.
Your remarks.
But hey, I just want to say, Williams, get my number from Jason. And I just also want to say, I'm really, really happy that we were able to have this conversation today. I really, really do appreciate it. And I appreciate every one of you guys. I love all you guys individually. And we got to keep these conversations coming, man. For real. And it's crazy even seeing those pictures right there, man. It just brings you back so many years. You know? All of our conscious, we were babies at one time. And that first time you were like, you know, I want to believe something different. And we've all been growing. And to this point, we've all somehow met at the same time, at the same location, virtually speaking.
That's how ether works. That's how ether works, man. Ether energy, that's how it works. It's the same reason why you can go to a concert and never have seen a single person, and everybody is in the concert singing the lyrics together and knows the music and don't look like you, might not even speak the same language. They might speak Japanese, you might speak English. That ether is real. It's very real.
Yep. Oh, Jason, you were talking this picture
you guys,
you have.
I don't leave it with I love you guys.
Love you, Jojo.
Hey, brother.
What are you saying, Empress?
So the picture you have, I'm on my phone, so I can't really see it, but it looks like there's a picture of two people, and it looks like they're transferring frequencies.
Yes.
I have a science experiment for y'all if you're listening. If you have an iPhone, take your iPhone. If you have somebody else's iPhone that you trust, take your iPhones and put them together. Now remember, your phone represents a cell. That's why it's called a what? Cell phone. So it's a little mini version of your cells. It's representing how each of your cells work and how many cells do you produce a day. I'm not giving out the answer. Do your research. When you come back, you'll find out that that's how many versions of you exist now every day. So when you take your cell phone and you put it together, you'll see it kind of like transferring information. That's exactly what happens when you're around folks. So when you speak of how can we heal or how can we be better going forward, it comes from monitoring your company. Because you don't know what that person what information they're carrying. So if you're hanging around someone who is always talking about their illnesses, oh, I got this. It's okay, much love, I get you're going through something, but I can't be around that negative frequency all the time because then you're going to bring me down. And that's a sick frequency. And it can attach to you. So we have to remember that. And we also have to remember it's more than just the mind. I'm not going to go too much into it because you told me I need my own show. But but our digestive system is also a part as another brain. So we have to watch what we're putting inside of our mouth, because that is where the nutrients come from. So if we're feeding our kids and ourselves nothing but junk food all day long, how do you expect to thrive? You can't think. You can't function like that.
That's what you're saying. The towers. It goes, because the start of the show, it was the alien files that Trump released, and what that had to do with everything. We just took it to a whole nother level. Brother Darrell was saying that there comes a time to where we have to think of it not being released. Before we end the episode, I wanted to say, could you talk more of that?
I'll definitely explain that. So what I said was, if you pull up the frequency chart, this information is not necessarily coming from the individual who released it, is the caste system that released it. And I know I spent 23 years in the government, but the difference is there's a time when we aim to teach someone, and that comes from a place of enlightenment. And then there's a time where we aim to be messy, and that comes from a place of that lower vibration, anger, jealousy, frustration, control, all of the different things, these manipulative tactics that are taking place when guilt, shame, apathy, all of these things that resonate in those frequency areas. When we start being told certain things by government agencies, parents, whoever the case may be, not in a way to educate us and enlighten us, but to confuse us, which is why we are seeing a sudden release of UFO files. That's not coming to us in an enlightenment time frame. That's coming to us in a I'm guilty time frame of whatever's going on in this war system. I have grief, or whatever's going on in this. I have fear. Whatever. These are the reasons why these type of pieces of information are given to us to confuse us, because that is where they fall on the enlightenment. You know, I want, and I'm not perfect about this, but as somebody who wants to be a light bearer and a truth bearer and a practitioner of psychology, I want to operate somewhere in acceptance, love, joy, peace, enlightenment when I'm talking about these topics, because then I'm teaching and I'm growing and I'm learning versus misdirecting, misinforming, disinforming people in that lower frequency area. I just don't want to be responsible. Unfortunately, we are in a place in our history where a lot of that's taking place.
Absolutely.
But we've got to do better. So we're not doing it. That's all I'm going to expound upon on that.
That's why when it talks about the scientific method, when I say research instead of regurgitating YouTube content, we have to do our own research, and they come with our own hypothesis, and then just repeat it. You know.
I didn't think of it like that.
And for the sake of time, brother and sister, I'm gonna have to tap out where we are, but the placeholder that you guys leave in this messaging, like I am excited to come back on the next episode. And
let's do one with just us three.
On these topics, and I'll let you two do the outline as you do so well any other time, and then I'll just try to expound naturally and organically in that place, learning with you more. I just know that my time is short with you now, but I do appreciate it.
We appreciate you too, brother, and thanks for coming on. And next time, send me some pictures beforehand, and we're definitely going to do this again if you have time, even next week. So let's keep doing it.
You.
Have time. And where can they reach you anywhere?
Absolutely, yeah. So most of my information, I don't do social media, but I have a LinkedIn page that I treat as a living resume for all of the projects that I've been involved in, and whether that be my volunteer work or that be my research science work that I do day to day. So I do have LinkedIn that I can share, and I can be reached there. Other than that, I don't use any social media. But what I'll do is I'll put it in the chat, and
Okay.
then I can go ahead and provide that information to whoever's interested in connecting.
Always, brother.
Does that work?
Yeah. And then, did you leave us with anything yet, as far as your summary of everything, real quick, before you cap out?
Let's see. Summary. I enjoyed this time tremendously today. You can always learn. Just show up with an open heart, ready to learn and share what has been given to you naturally in your journey. And all that we can do with that is continue to grow together. If we all show up and we are willing to bring what has happened in our journey and take and download what has happened in in our colleagues' journey, and these conversations will take place organically. Again, those systems that are out there are going to make you want to, make you believe what they want you to believe. But it's up to you to be willing to have courage to step out of what is being told that you should believe and find out for yourself. Like Lana said, the scientific method, you can't go wrong with that. Research and provide that evidence for yourself, and don't just believe everything you're told.
All right, brother, and we'll see you next time. You have a great week.
Okay. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for your wisdom.
See you later. Thank you so much.
And to end it with that, y'all, I didn't look at that perspective like that. The alien revealing and the UFO revealing, it's not righteous. I didn't look at it like that. It's fear-based, they were saying. And I would agree. I would have to agree to the public. It's not how I'm looking at it, or some of us, I guess, in the so-called conscious or cosmic community. It's because for us, this is like, yes, finally. But to others, the way they're releasing it, it's fear, it's hate, it's lower vibration, it's destroying things. As we close it out, can you expand what they were saying when Jojo and Brother Williams were saying that the revealing of the aliens and UFO files, that it can also be a distraction and also be used as fear mongering, and that it's not based off of enlightenment?
Well, yeah, I could definitely say it's fear mongering, because you have to remember there's a very small percentage of us that are on this frequency where we're excited about, this transition that's coming up. Others are still stuck in religion. They're still told that there's a rapture coming. You feel me? So when they speak of the aliens, those that are in that religion were taught that, Jesus is coming, or whatever God they serve is coming. That's what they're still believing. So they're thinking the aliens are the devil. So imagine the small percentage of us that know what it is, and now you against the large percentage of those that think they know what it is and how they're going to respond to it. It's like Brother Williams was saying, it's going to mess up their frequency. That's going to dismantle a lot of what's inside. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not ready for that. If you haven't experienced anything where you've had like an extraterrestrial or what they call ghosts or spirits, or you've traveled other places and other people call you crazy, if you haven't experienced that, you're not going to be prepared for what you're about to see. And a lot of people haven't experienced it. They speak like they have because they watch YouTube and think they hear these stories and they want to regurgitate it and say, oh, I had an experience. But if you've ever sat there and seen something come out the ocean that's the size of the sky with a staff, and let's say it looks like a merman, you can't tell me people will be like, oh, wow, look at that. They're going to freak the fuck out. And so that's the same thing that's going on with this. Yes, the exposure. I live with Christians. It's respected. They respect where I stand, and I respect where they stand because everybody's in their own school of thought. But I also watch their body language when they're watching the news and they're speaking about these UFOs uncover. They're uncovering the UFOs are going to come out and blah blah blah. I'm looking at the fear in their face, and fear is obviously a frequency as well.
So that's
So
interesting, like you were saying that, because like the Christians, the religious people are saying, oh, they're demons, and it's like, well, what is your God? Like, how does your God appear? What's the difference?
there is
You
no
know,
difference.
well, he's gonna come with a horse and this and that and da 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 da, and it's gonna be a picture of what we've seen on the wall. So, just like they're saying earlier, people really don't know what it is, but because of Hollywood and because of religion painting Caesar Bourgeois, the image of Jesus, as the so-called pale-skinned European, that would make them believe that that's God returning versus something else. So I'm glad you guys are allowing me to see both perspectives.
Oh yeah, because I think we forget. We live in our world. We don't hang out with everybody, so we forget what they're thinking, and we forget what they're hearing when they go to church, what their pastor is telling them. And we have to remember they're still under a spell. So we just have to move, with love, or move accordingly. Part of growing in this process is, like I said, instead of passing judgment on those that aren't quote unquote awake yet to see it for what it is, continue to move in love, and then just keep on your path. Because I don't know how to explain it, but the ancestors showed me. They're like, your whole body that's your temple, but that's also your school. And your job here is just to work on your body and make sure that you master every part. You have 11 organ systems, probably more. That's just from based off my research. But as we go into it further, your body and your mind will start to show you. That's what part of going within is about. You know what I'm saying? Going within. When you go within,
and you get it. Well, check this out. All right, so Empress Anu, we know at this time now we're light beings, and then you were saying frequencies, and then the emotions change, and it changes to different geometric patterns as we're looking in the middle. And so the biofield, our torus field, those are geometric patterns and ways and thoughts. And so us being the temple as the body, and then outside our ancestors building the body, now what if we know that our body's the temple, and instead of shaping it how they want us to shape it with their fake foods, fake thoughts, and all this messed up stuff, when we become conscious of our light body temple and raise ourselves up out of hell, now we can start creating our temple like the real temples of Teotihuacan or Peru, the Hindu temples. Like example here, the impact of Hindu temples on the human chakras. So right here, we're seeing that the actual body is built off of these temples that we see. So what if we can do the same thing, if you guys are catching on what I'm saying? So instead of the basic model of our temple, it's time to build an advanced model of the temples that we see. So when you go to most churches, it's just a basic building, and now they just build it. They'll rent out warehouses and stuff. But back in the day, the churches were pointed at an apex. They had the rod on top. So that's how you're able to tell, usually now, the older churches, because you'll see sacred geometry, because a lot of those churches were converted to Christian churches, because once again, we're dealing with cathedrals, cathoids, electricity. And once we understand storage, where Empress Elanu says the storage of the gut, the second brain. So the storage, the food intake, the fuel raises the frequency. Your resonator, so is that the heart or the harmonizer? And your vocal cord could be the harmonizer. The resonator could be your heart. So we all have to break it down even more. And then once again, the top of the temple or the church. And that's how you're able to be that Babylon tower that they knocked down, because the Tower of Babel was communicating with extraterrestrials. Wow, that's amazing. We had our one language. We had one language, like Brother Williams was saying. We're in the concert, different religions, different colors, all vibing to one song or an artist. And imagine when the artists are like Michael Jackson, or what a Tupac evolved to where the music is uplifting. I was watching a concert with Phil Collins, and he was dressed regular. He was dressed like a regular dude walking down the street, and it was a sold out stadium, like 100,000 plus people. So imagine our types of concerts, because when you go throughout the world, you'll see that we had like the Red Rocks, they call them amphitheaters. So we had ancient amphitheaters. So we had concerts. And then a lot of people also say that was used for generating like the Las Vegas hotels. You said the energy goes up and down. Well, that's just like us. They're changing our frequency, like we were showing the picture.
Download and the upload.
Yeah, so for me, I'm naturally vibrating on this frequency, but due to my environment, certain times that person can make me go like this and lower me. And then like you were saying, then I'm in the acceptance phase, like accept me, versus just vibrating on that high illuminated phase. You catch what I'm saying?
Absolutely. It's like you said, it's a battery, and like you said, we're dead, but just like any battery that's dead, it needs a charge, right? So you have to charge yourself up in order for you to, because your ancestors, let's just hypothetically say, are where your torso is and above, right? Just hypothetically speaking. But if you're operating from the torso below, you're on your lower frequency. They can't communicate with you. So you have to be able to get that charge by changing the way you eat, changing your frequency, people you're around, blah, yada, yada, stuff we've discussed before. When you adjust that, then you start to raise your vibration. Now your ancestors can really communicate with you. So those voices that we were speaking of, you'll be more familiar with them, right? Because,
keep talking.
You'll be more familiar with those voices, and you'll be more comfortable with their response. It will feel different. It won't feel like I'm not sure. You'll be more comfortable, and you'll be more in tune with what directions you should be going in with your purpose. Because that's the whole point, is to get charged so that you can live your purpose and get out of hell.
And there you go, because look at the earth grid. So now that we answer, we are a grid system. Our body's a grid system of sacred geometry, light, patterns, and frequencies. And now we're looking at a dome or earth grid. That means that your pineal gland, that energy is supposed to shoot out that invisible so-called light. And if it hits the top of the dome, you get that download. And possibly can shut it down. But that's what they're stopping then, because now that we know we're a tower, and once we shoot out that tower high as we can, but if they're lowering our battery, you can never reach the most high level of the dome, just like your dome. So if we're in a dome and they call this our dome, once again, free your dome, freedom. And I always say freedom is a landmass to where our ancestors in another so-called human civilization exists. And that's the key, and the goal is to understand that, one, we are not alone in the universe. We're not alone on this plane of existence, but it's like a school. You have to go through certain tests to get to the other side. And to get to that magical place, you can reach there without dying. And so if they can control our imagination by saying, oh, you got to wait to heaven, and you learn that what you would call heaven, Orenos, Orion's belt, can be replicated on Earth, and Earth is a word, well, then what happens when we change this from Earth to another word? Now you're vibrating. That's why they would call it Terra, or Pangea, or Geb, or Neb Karu, Gaia. So if we stop saying Earth and we start saying Gaia or Geb, well, then that's what we're vibrating. I'm on Geb. What's Geb? I'm on Earth. Not me, not I. And so that's what we build on. So now that the Earth is a grid and we know it, that means when the shoes, once again, the shoes are done to throw us off. Because when we study the sandals of ancient times, they had copper, gold in them, because we had cities of gold. So when you see the AI rendering of Teotihuacan, the Pyramid of Giza, and they're showing dirt roads, oh, no. We had copper roads. We had roads of gold. We had pathways. So every time you're here, you're always vibrating. So it wasn't just the jewels, the roads were gold. Hence why they called it El Dorado, city of gold. It exists and existed. And so if they can erase that from our memory that we built El Dorado is real. Teotihuacan and all these temples that you built, our ancestors built, it's showtime. So continue to know that we are not alone, that you are not alone, because if our ancestors never died, they're still vibrating. And clearly there's some type of dimension merging. So they're trying to, the so-called colonizer, they're trying to merge their dimension with their lower beings while they're trying to stop us from contacting directly and calling upon our ancestors. ET phone home. So,
study the elements.
So anything to close us out?
I just said study those elements.
Cool. And once again, the code, an ancient geomatrix mystery in geomatrian connection. And so once again, the code, it's linking up that our ancestors and us because it's laid out like a video game. It's literally laid out like a 3D holographic game to where you can create your own city. So just like Sim City 2000, you have the flat land and it has the ley lines, and you build on the grid. And that's what we did when we connected ourselves to the grid. So once again, I'm Dr. Jason E. Williams, better known as Jason Elm Street. July, August, September, October. Become your own Messiah. Become your own God. Because even for my Christian brothers, didn't Jesus teach you that ye are gods? So you are a deity. You are what you thinketh. Don't allow someone to demonize you of thinking highly intelligent. That's why they say highly, not low intelligent. Think highly of yourself. And if someone's trying to stop you from thinking highly of yourself, they don't love you. And that's where the separation must occur from our families, certain friends, in building our tribes, our nations, in resurrecting our empire. But it starts within. So as I close it, the information is here. The codes are inside of you, inside of us. And be thankful through all the so-called suffering, being born highly melanated, because that makes you more of an electrical conductor. That means that you're able to get more of the universal codes faster than anyone, to the point to where you're a computer and you're the highest form of a computer, and what you will call the humans or man and mankind. So maybe it's human, mankind, to where those with the hue have a vibration and the man doesn't have a vibration, so they have to steal from the human, and then the kind of man has to steal from them all and vampire off of everybody. And so we're just linking different words to us being electrical beings, stepping outside of being black, stepping outside of different religion codes that don't serve us historically. So I want to keep going on, but next episode is coming soon, and we're gonna hopefully stay on this as the great revealing occurs. It's a celebration, but also to others, it's an end to their world, and they're afraid, clearly. So when they see UFOs and aliens and they say it's demons, that means that they're addicted to the world that they were given, which is a false matrix application. It's a prison, and it creates a time loop to where a person, if they happen to think they die, they're trapped here and they never get out. And that's what we are. We are the so-called healers of society. They call us the saviors, but that already occurred. So we're the healers. And so we're healing ourselves. These conversations, we heal ourselves. So heal one another, heal yourself, so you can tap into the most highest frequency, or the highest frequency. L-U-V-U, L-O-V-U. Instead of love, it starts with an L. So in Black culture is eclectic fusion of pieces of other cultures melded into one and then claimed as organic from them. So basically you see that every culture throughout the world has African, Moorish culture, and now you see them claiming to be Atlanteans, Lemurians. And when we discover that underneath the sun, wouldn't it make sense to be a highly melanated conductive computer? So just like certain cell phones and iPhones, we're that supercomputer. And that's why they're trying to build supercomputers, to replicate you. Because until you become online as that radio tower, they can control you and put different applications in you, and you'll never ascend. But have no fear, Jason is here. I've arrived. So the extraterrestrials, we walk amongst you. So living proof. And as always, I'm going to leave y'all with some proof of our virtual reality campus. So you see so many YouTube scholars, and you know they're going to be copying this as they do. But the Matrix University trademark, we're a 501c3 tax exempt nonprofit corporation, and we're focused on education, innovation, and delivering our story, our narrative to the world, not as gangbangers, not as thugs, not as prostitutes, hookers, and hoes, as gods, superheroes, pioneers, engineers, teachers, and educators, and beyond. So we're using 21st century technology to disseminate our culture, which is knowledge, which is art, math, science, astronomy. And as we build, as days and nights come, we're going to keep building to where we create our curriculum, and we'll trade with others and build up our wealth. So like I said, I am wealth. I am success. I am rich. And I am thankful for being in the present. And I thank my Empress for tuning in. So once again,
Thank you for having me, of course, always.
And this is an example of how we can utilize mixed reality and virtual reality to come to your organization. So you can book me for a speaking engagement, and we can make it a virtual reality event, K through 12 events, high school, college, and simply new innovative ways to have presentations and knowledge events. You see the Cash App, $ Jason Elm Street. But if you'd like to make an amazing donation, you could go to www.thematrixuniversity.com. I am the founder, and here you go. And this is Dino Jam.
So with VXR Lab's new mixed reality update, we can now freely explore huge environments like our gymnasium here. And as you can see, I've set up this real life scale exhibit of a couple life-size dinosaurs here. Dinosaurs in real life are way bigger than you think they are. And you can see that seal here in mixed reality. Notice I don't have to use my thumbstick to walk around or teleport. I can just freely walk around using my own 2 legs. It's pretty sick. Go around this bush here. So here's this Triceratops here. He's huge, absolutely huge. And there's a Parasaurolophus over here. If I want, I can even duck in the bushes over here and peer through the dinos through the bushes. So this is a whole new facet of the platform that you're going to be able to utilize in these larger spaces. And it's fully multiplayer compatible too, so long as you calibrate the same origin point, you can have a multiplayer session with all the students exploring the same large environment together.
Is a coordinated network of organs that work together to perform essential functions for survival and health. The human bone is a strong yet flexible organ that forms the body's framework and supports movement. It is composed of compact bone, the dense outer layer providing strength. The human muscle is a soft tissue responsible for body movement, posture, and stability. It is composed of long, fibrous cells called muscle fibers. The human heart is a muscular, 4-chambered organ that pumps blood throughout the body.
Hey, Wendy! How does the vestibular system keep you balanced?
The vestibular system plays a crucial role in maintaining balance and spatial orientation. It consists of structures in the inner ear, primarily the semicircular canals and the otolith organs.
Good morning, class. Based on last night's reading, who would like to tell me the difference between a prokaryotic and a eukaryotic cell? Chloe, what did you find in your reading last night?
Well, prokaryotic cells are like the simpler ones, right? They don't have a nucleus or any membrane-bound organelles.
Yep, that is correct. Cells come from pre-existing cells, right? They divide and they reproduce, right? Who can tell me some fundamental differences between plant cells and animal cells? Jordan.
Okay, Mr. Coyle. So, one big difference is that plant cells have cell walls, while animal cells don't. Plant cells also have chloroplasts for photosynthesis, which animal cells don't have.
Very good, Jordan.
Got it. Thanks, Mr. Coyle.
While the cell membrane purposefully lets stuff in and out, whereas the cell wall is its wall. It is purposefully just like nothing goes past it.
Oh, so the cell wall is more like a solid barrier?
That's the idea.
go out, pilgrims. Police still killing, black and brown brothers. They don't give a fuck. Mothership, about to return and pick my people up. Watch me swim in gold like I am Scrooge McDuck. Twinkle leafy, a spirit of California. Praise the ancient goddess, light up a marijuana. Roll up the tree, set fire to the ganja. The gringo isn't the Diablo, always starting problems. When I run color on this coat, guaranteed to text my blood. Activate my pyramids in California, in Mexico. We got the best smoke on the West Coast. West Coast. Beautiful women on the West Coast. West Coast. We like to ride on the West Coast. Like a brown fry on the West Coast. West Coast.
Represented, I'm the hardest in it. Fuck the critics, ain't nobody hard as gritty. Black and brown come together, we ain't backing down. I've been in the Hardy City, got the bloodline of a king. Gotta come together, we all in the same game. One God, one universe, all unity and ain't shit changed. Gotta mount up, but they dumb us down with that fake shit that they teach us now. We been living in the belly of the devil, battling so we can make it out. Fuck the politics and the president, fuck the White House till they let us in. We gon' go to war, we ain't hesitant. If they want to smoke, then I'm a hella shit. We the last living of a dying breed. Ain't nobody with the pen as hard as me. Every time I rap it hit an artery. Ain't nobody fucking with my artistry. We the holy guys, we invented time. We gon' send a missile like it's Lebanon. I been eating rappers like it's dinner time. Suckers hibernating like it's dinner time.
Smoke on the West Coast. West Coast. Beautiful women on the West Coast. West Coast. We like to ride on the West Coast. West Coast. Like a brown fry on the West Coast. We got the best smoke on the West Coast. West Coast. Beautiful women on the West Coast. West Coast. We like to ride on the West Coast. West Coast. Like a brown fry on the West Coast. We got the best smoke on the West Coast. West Coast. Beautiful women on the West Coast.